We be live. Hello. Shalom,
Yay!
shalom. Yay! Susie's back, guys.
I'm back.
Yeah, in fact, we were having so much fun that we forgot. We almost forgot to go live because we were catching up and talking about a whole bunch of things. Guys, we miss Susie.
We were yelling to each other about tariffs.
Yeah. And Susie was like, "Oh shit, we actually have to go live." Yes, yes. Susie back, guys. They didn't believe me, Susie. I like, Armin, what did you do to Susie? I like, she'll be back. I like, Armin, we cannot do this without Susie. Bring us Susie back. I like, I promise she will be back. I promise. And now she's back. See, I told you she will be back. Guys, have you liked the stream? Like the stream?
Yes, please.
Yes, yes, yes. And how's our audio? Oh, people are liking the stream. Check your. Oh, D has a message for you in the chat if you want to check
Yes,
that.
I just saw it.
Yes,
Thank you,
and guys,
D.
please, guys, in the chat, let us know. Let Susie know that you missed her because you keep complaining to me when she's not here. So now that we have her here, please let her know that you appreciate her being back, so that she knows. Because I tell her that you guys missed her, and she didn't believe me. Now tell her so that she believes. Oh, Nina just got 5 memberships. For
Oh,
people in
wow.
the
Thank
chat.
you, Nina.
Yeah, thank you, Nina. Nina's been really great. Thank you,
I
thank you,
still
thank you.
love the fact that Nina's profile picture is the little like Vatican anime character they created. Like it's a Catholic anime character.
That's cute. Yeah, it's good. David saying, Susie, missed you.
Oh,
Okay,
thank
guys.
you.
Susie. Yusuf is saying, I missed you, Susie. I'm glad you're
I
back.
had to
Yes.
come back from the land of Inglistan.
Engelistan?
Inglistan.
Yeah. How was your trip, by the way? Did you have fun?
Okay, I did have a lot of fun. I got to stay with Jimmy Bangash, and so I was hanging out with like Vidu Vids and Mimsy Vids and their kids. Like, I love those boys. They're such good parents. Like, they have such a cute little like ex-Muslim family for each other. Because I hadn't been able to see them in a while. So it was just like so nice to be able to, see these people that are so important to me. Oh, which reminds me, I have some important news I need to tell you off stream. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was very interesting. And it was funny because it was my boyfriend's first time, well, basically first time like really being in London in England. And he was like, "Holy crap, this place is really Islamic."
Yeah, it's not like Susie was like, okay, people are not exaggerating, right? Like
No, 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 no.
it's real.
Because when
It's
I was
real.
17, I spent a month living in England, and it is so different than what I remember.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly when I was a kid, we used to go to England a lot. I actually lived 2 years in England when I was a kid, and last time I went to England, I was like, okay, this is not the same country. Like, this is not right-leaning propaganda exaggerating things about London. Like, okay, this is real. This is like almost an Islamic country now. So
Well, okay, I don't
at
know.
least parts of London.
I don't know
Parts
how
of
much of
London.
it is just like a London thing because and it wasn't even
Yeah.
exclusive to one neighborhood. It was like cuz we were going all over the place. It was like every neighborhood, every train station, every platform. I felt like I could be in Lahore
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah, yeah.
demographically. I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
this is weird." And even, my friends that I was visiting, they would say, if they're like, if I went to Lahore and all I saw was white people and black people, you'd be like, "What the hell is happening here?" Like you'd be confused. You're like, "Oh, this is not the experience I came here for." But, I was also thinking to myself, I was like, well, I mean, if I was a foreigner and I went to shoot, I don't know, like parts like one specific like neighborhoods of New York, or if I went to, I don't know, like Jackson, Mississippi, like or or maybe parts of Texas, like the demographics would be so skewed, you would maybe not see the types of people that you would expect, but that doesn't represent the whole country. You know what I mean? Like I try to be very cognizant
Yeah.
of the bias of my
That
experience.
that's why I was careful to say London. If you I said at least parts of it, right? So
Mhm.
I was careful not to generalize. Okay,
Yeah.
so for
Yeah.
example, when I went to the British Museum, like I didn't feel any of that over there. I wonder why. But
No, I
I'm
mean,
sure
when I went to the British Museum, I mean, it was just like as diverse as everywhere else. Cause I mean, well, it's a lot of tourists for one. Um,
diverse different from Islamic. To be fair, diverse is like there are parts of London that I don't. In fact, the Islamic parts doesn't feel diverse.
True.
There are parts of London that I go, and actually it's so Islamic that it's not diverse. Like you see a white person, like, oh my god, you feel like I feel like this guy's a foreigner here.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
I
Yeah, it
feel
was
like that's
interesting.
in parts of
And then
Paris as well.
because it was like towards the end of Ramadan, right? And we were walking around one day and we walked to Buckingham Palace and we're chilling in front of the kind of big statue in the middle of the circus in front of Buckingham Palace. And there's this guy who looks like he's probably South Asian, but he's wearing a full thobe and the full like Arab keffiyeh with the little black thing. I can't remember what you call that little ring to keep it to hold it down. And he's doing the azan like on camera right in front of Buckingham Palace because it was like sundown, or about to be. And I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me, man. Like, and then I was, and then there was this other guy that came in and interacted with him, and they're both like doing it together. They're like, yes, brother. And I was trying to explain to my boyfriend, I'm like, the fact that this man is doing this here is very specific and very deliberate. And he didn't want to believe me. He's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, no, like to do this here on
Mm.
camera to record it and then you're going to be publicizing it is sending a very specific message like we are here. Yes, we are also here. We can do it at the Buckingham Palace, like the heart of the nation, like this kind of thing. And he didn't believe me until we went home and we're talking to Jimmy Bangash, and Jimmy's like, "Oh yeah, no, this is like a domination thing."
Yeah, no, the collective memory of the Islamic community regarding them being at war with the British Empire, the greatest power. Like, a lot of people don't understand the British Empire not being a thing is a new idea when it comes to the collective memory of a people, right? This is a new world. So the British Empire being the superpower of the world is still still the signs of that, the memory of that is still within literature, within the collective memory of a community. So the idea of that empire have fallen, and the British and the Islamic Ummah rising, when the British Empire falling, is a reminder to Muslims that the enemies of Islam will eventually fall, and Islam will survive and overcome all of them. So doing the azan in front of the Buckingham Palace shows that this is the center of the empire. They used to come and invite us and colonize us, and now we're here right next to those palaces that used to be the center of power in the world, and we're doing the azan right next to it. So this means that we're taking over this land, and whoever is the next superpower, we will come for them as well.
No,
That's
but
the
it's funny
idea.
because you can also have these other experiences because we had I needed to go to this neighborhood right next to Golders Green, like the next stop on the tube. And so we get off and we're walking around and we see like all these little Orthodox Jewish boys like running around in these little groups. And my boyfriend's like, "Oh, like what? Oh, that's kind of weird. Like, what are they doing?" He wasn't expecting to see it. I'm like, "Oh no, we're in like a super Orthodox Jewish bubble, and everywhere we're walking, and that's like all you. That was almost all you see. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's kind of like if you pop into these different areas, you can get a totally um, different experience and a whole different idea of what that experience is like. But Yeah, it was fun. I love London. I went to Harrods one day just to check it out, and because it was the end of Ramadan, they had the most extravagant dates I have ever seen.
Oh my
The
god,
most
those
bougie dates for Eid I have ever seen. I was like, "God damn. Look, people are spending money."
All right. Well, that was nice.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying welcome back, Suze, in the chat. I was highlighting them as you speak. Um, we should get to what is the new stories that we're covering today? What are they? What countries? Is like the first one is Islam, right?
Yes.
Second one is Islam. Third one is Islam. Fourth one
Oh,
is
4th one is
also
Satanism
Satanism. Oh wow. Okay, so
versus
Islam,
Catholics.
Satanism versus Catholics, and then last one is Islam again. Okay, so
Yeah.
four stories we have regarding Islam. One story regarding the battle between Catholics and
Well, it's
Satanists.
a lot of, like, kinda Islamist soft power influence networks today, or transnational repression, honestly. So, yeah. You know, you gotta I don't know, we got some juicy stuff going on today, I'm excited.
Okay, cool. So not tragic, mostly just interesting. We're gonna be nerdy today, huh? We're gonna be looking at the uh, Islamic soft power through how they try to creep in using their different tentacles. So that's
Yeah.
guys. A lot of this nerdy stuff. Are Susie is she's an expert in research. That's what she used to do for her previous job, and she's also a nerd. She's a professional nerd, so
Facts.
she goes and digs up some stuff that you don't see in other streams, and some of these might not get they're not good for clickbaity headlines, but they're good for our audience, at least being more sophisticated than audience of other streams, for you guys
Yeah.
to have a deeper knowledge regarding how these things is much more than just, oh, Islam bad, Islam ruining our society, oh, Islam insane. I mean, Islam is insane, but it's more, it gets more technical, and we actually figure out how they're doing it, like how they're spreading, how they're increasing their soft power. So if
Well,
you
because I think
guys
about it like this, like, oftentimes you see a policy that's adopted and you're like, "Why the hell would they do that? That seems, like, really counterproductive and, like, not in our best interest." And then you start to peel back the curtain about who is involved and what are their connections to other foreign Islamist powers, and then how they got into a certain position of power, and they're like, "Oh." So it's helpful to
that's
understand, like, what's going on and how these influence networks work so that you don't just fall into, like, utter conspiracy, right? Like Great Replacement or something. It's like, well, it's not that extreme. These are relationships that have been adopted over decades, and then a person gets into a specific place and they can influence a policymaker here. Like, okay, well, anyways, we should get into it.
Yeah,
But
before we
you
get
know,
into
we're gonna
it,
sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, you go ahead first, because you're gonna forget. I'm not gonna forget.
Uh well, I was gonna say our first news is not really, it's just us talking about people that are insane. So
Okay, good. Yeah, the first one, we're gonna have fun. Just a reminder, guys, we are going to be reading super chats in between news items, but we already have a few that we have to. We got Haytham just became a member. Thank you so much for that. Red became. Sorry, guys, if I mispronounce your names. I'm really bad at it. Red became a member. Thank you so much for that. And Ginga just gave us a super chat saying, Susie, I hope you didn't commit any thought crime.
well, thank you. I kept very safe, although I'm not even kidding. My boyfriend was like, "You better not do anything," like he was seriously like, "You better not do anything crazy, girl." Uh, uh, but I look, he knows who he's with.
That sounds like my
Uh,
wife. That's when we do, like, hey, don't do activism while you're with
you
me.
be on your best behavior, okay? I don't want you. But I fulfilled my
Totally.
promise to Armin, and I did not go to Speaker's Corner.
Right. Good job. Good job.
Yeah.
This actually, when I was in LA, I met there were some black Hebrew Israelites, and I really wanted to go talk to them. And I talked to them a little bit, and my wife was so pissed. Like, don't do this shit here when we're traveling together. But so I can relate with that. Oh, but by the way, Kenny also just gifted 5 memberships. Guys, our memberships are growing. So thank you so much for gifting memberships and becoming
Thank
members,
you.
because that's how memberships are one of the best ways to support this channel. So thank you so much for that. For
Yes,
being members.
thank
And
you.
again, reminder that I'm doing more, like I'm almost doing one member only stream a week. So if you're a member, you get access to member only streams. All right. So let's get started. Can we clap for the first news?
Respect your wife. That's right. This is funny. We can clap for the first news just because we're gonna be like talking about some insane like tankies. I love it.
Okay, sweet. I love that. All right. Wait, is the one that I have on is that the correct one? Did I have correct?
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Okay. All right. First news.
First news, exposed. Irish politicians align with Yemeni terrorists in a move that has drawn sharp criticism and alarm. Claire Daly, an Irish politician with Independence for Change and former EU Parliament member, not only attended but actively supported the Houthi rebels during a rally in Yemen, a group widely recognized as terrorists. At the same event, American pro-Kremlin social media influencer Jackson Hinkle added his controversial voice, openly declaring, quote, "I am so honored to be here," and arguing that, quote, "America and the Zionist entity fear Yemen more than anyone else because the people of Yemen fear nobody but God." Hinkle's statements at the Quds Day rally echoed Daly's dangerous rhetoric as she praised the Houthis for standing against what she termed as American and Israeli terrorism. Daly went further, expressing her intent to, quote, "emulate your actions in our countries," and spread the word for real solidarity with Palestine, standing up against the Zionist settler colonial regime of Israel, thereby quite openly aligning herself with terrorist extremism. But to be honest, this is par for the course for these two nutjob Irish politicians. In general, like Ireland, it's really gone off the deep end.
Yeah, they're insane. They're
It's
totally
it's
insane.
it's actually quite extreme. But so we have a few clips from these appearances at the Quds Day rally. Now, for context, I think we should maybe just give a quick explanation for what Quds Day is, because I actually think that's important to understand to give this whole thing context. So, for those who are not aware, Quds Day is literally a Khomeiniist holiday. And it was created by Ayatollah Khomeini after the Islamic Revolution because it represents that they are coming for Jerusalem, that the Islamic Revolution is coming for Jerusalem. And so you'll see these Quds Day rallies all around the world, actually. Last year, we covered when they were happening in Texas and they were happening in Dearborn, Michigan. And so, but people need to understand that if you see Quds Day rallies, that one, it's literally Khomeiniist, and you're more likely to see this specific holiday in Shia, like areas of Shia control, countries of Shia control that are aligned with the Iranian regime. And this represents their movement abroad. When you see this in different places, this represents the Khomeiniist movement abroad. Armin, is that an accurate description of what Quds Day is?
Yeah, it's basically the Islamic Republic's branding and using of the whole Palestinian cause, and it shows the influence of the Iranian regime on this whole movement, the so-called pro-Palestine movement, and that they have basically their influence everywhere, and this is their movement. They have taken it from, the fact that people, Sunnis and leftists, because comes from a Shia regime, but the fact that the Sunnis and leftists constantly use it shows how influential the Iranian regime is in spreading its influence and using the Palestinian cause to spread its soft power.
Yeah. So yeah, if you guys ever see like a Quds Day thing, you know what that actually means. It's not an organic little rally.
It's so bizarre. By the way, as a kid, growing in Iran, Quds Day was it was an annual event that we as students were forced to always participate in. And we had like rallies, we went out in the streets, the school took us to these events and stuff like that. And I never in a wildest dreams would have ever imagined like this thing that I thought it was an Iranian thing. I mean, Iranian regime thing in Iran. I will like, this is something that people like white people would be participating in around the world. I'm like, what the hell? This is, I don't know, because a lot of you are being introduced to this, but I grew up with this. And the idea that like we see this person celebrating Quds Day right on the screen, that's like, this is so bizarre to me. It's just so weird how the direction that history took us.
Yeah. And it's always specifically on the last Friday of Ramadan.
Right. Khomeini was very clever, to be honest, using religious anniversaries to highlight to create political anniversaries. In fact, that's how he did the 1979 revolution, was to use the 40th day of the death of important figures in Islam and the ceremony surrounding that, to mix that with the revolution against the Shah. And because already would have had ceremonies anyways to come out, so he hijacked them to basically catalyze that into getting more people to protest against the Shah. And that's how he was successful in doing carrying out the revolution, which is very interesting because now Reza Pahlavi is doing the same thing, but not with religious anniversaries, but with Iranian traditional anniversaries are now being used to, so they're basically something, so the religious people use religious anniversaries, and the opposition is now doing nationalistic patriotic anniversaries like Nowruz or Sizde Bedar or other ceremonies as a way to get people to catalyze that into turning into a protest against the regime.
Yeah, when the regime will also crack down on the 40th day memorials of the celebrating or memorializing the death of like dissidents of the regime, like what happened with Masih.
Right, exactly. Like, yeah, good point.
Anyways, we should get into the clip. We're getting a little sidetracked. But let us let's watch what Jackson Hinkle has to say to the Houthis.
All right, listen. Where is this, by the way? Where is this recorded?
This is in Yemen. I think it was in Sana'a.
Yeah, I can tell that. Look at the number of microphones. Okay, that's on purpose because usually, sometimes you could actually set up one microphone that everybody is connected to. They know how to do that. Okay. But they do this in the Iranian regime also does this on purpose. I've seen in Iran they do this. They on purpose everybody puts their own microphone just to make it seem more epic. It's like so insane. Look at the number of microphones. It's like something growing in front of it. Anyways, let's listen to him.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! I am so honored to be here. I have never met a more courageous people. America and the Zionist entity fears Yemen more than anyone else, because the people of Yemen fear nobody but God. I understand that here today it is Quds Day, and I could think of nowhere else I would rather be than with the free people of Yemen. As the United States drops bombs on the people of Yemen and Gaza, we know that the U.S. and the Zionist entity is waging a war against God. And we know that anyone who wages a war against God will never be successful. Thank you for having me here. And inshallah, one day we will meet in a free Palestine.
Wait, okay, first of all, why are these? Is he like a leftist?
Yeah, he's a self-proclaimed mega communist.
So why is he using God like war? Like how? What? Since when
He
communists?
accused Israel and America of Muharebe.
Since when do communists care about God and waging war against God? Like this is religious language. This is Islamic. He's talking
This
about
speech made me wonder if we have a, very convenient, very politically convenient conversion to Islam upcoming for Jackson Hinkle. Like, I wonder, because being a little bit familiar with him, watching his progression from a Black Lives Matter activist only like about 4.5 years ago, like BLM activist, to giving speeches to Houthis and attending Nasrallah's funeral. Like sometimes I've seen him play as if he's a Christian in a way where he can play into a pro-Russian narrative that Russia is actually the protector of the Christian faith because they refuse to allow Western degeneracy. Like that kind of quote unquote pro-Christian narrative. So sometimes I've seen him kind of like play into that. Like I've seen him be very homophobic to play into that. So I don't know if he's going to remain quasi-Christian because it's like politically convenient to be like, oh, look at this white man who's also Christian, who is so with our cause. You know what I mean? Like that has its own political cachet. Or will he go into the converting to Islam version of the political cachet? You know what I mean? I mean, he's based in Russia. I personally believe he's with the Russian regime.
He's a politician. Like what is he's a politician and he's an Irish politician. He's a politician.
Jackson Hinkle is not a politician. The other people that will watch the videos are Irish politicians. Jackson Hinkle is just like social media influencer, Russian asset.
So, but like, how does he explain that he's celebrating these people that in front of him are outright saying not just D to Israel, but curse upon the J people? Like you see on the screen. I'm not going to say.
Oh, he's a virulent anti-Semite.
He says it like he openly says it, like he doesn't hide it behind anti-Zionism and anti-Israeli. Like he actually says things against.
No. I mean, you can go look the shit that I've seen on his Twitter. I'm like, oh no, you're like you're pushing actual anti-Semitism, not like, I mean, well, also under the guise of anti-Zionism, but also just like we need to be suspicious of the Jews, like level of stuff. Okay, also, like he doesn't care. Like
he does.
He's in the pocket of the Kremlin. Like what? Or at least I believe he is. Sorry, what?
Yeah. Is he really like in the pocket of the Kremlin?
I believe so. How his kind of background before he ended up in Russia. I don't know how he ended up in Russia, but he started out as this BLM activist and then went kind of further into like leftist anti-imperialism, which led him into being a very vocal pro-Assadist who would debate people and deny the chemical attacks of the Assad regime that happened in what's the name of the place? Duma. And so he was notorious for that, and he started to win awards by pro-Assad organizations. And then, so that was kind of his shtick for a while, was, the pro-Assad Syrian kind of scene. And so, I mean, if you're into that scene, that's going to lead you straight to Moscow. And so he somehow ended up living in Russia. So he still does a lot of pro-Assad stuff, a lot of anti-Ukraine stuff, like an insane amount of anti-Ukraine stuff. He mysteriously ends up at, Nasrallah's memorial funeral. This is not, he's been doing speaking appearances to the Houthis at least since the past year and a half already. I think he's already made a trip to Yemen before this. And then there was this. It's like, how does he end up in these places? That's not that doesn't happen on accident.
Right.
How does he get in front of these people? That doesn't happen on accident.
What is this video?
So this video is these two Irish politicians that I was talking about. Actually, let's watch.
These are actual.
Yes, let's watch this one first.
Let me unmute it and then go to the beginning. Okay,
yeah.
Play it now.
These are Irish politicians. She used to be a member of the EU Parliament.
And this is in Yemen?
Yes.
Okay, wow. Okay, let's watch this.
This is the future. This is the only way we can build a better world in defiance against American terrorism and Israeli terrorism. I just want to say thank you, Yemen, for everything you have sacrificed and for the leadership you have shown all over the world. We will try and emulate your actions in our countries and spread a word for real solidarity for Palestine and standing up against the Zionist settler colonial project of Israel.
What? Okay, so she's supporting terrorism.
Yeah,
she's directly supporting terrorism. Is this normal in Ireland? Like, is that like your politicians come out and defend a group that has been recognized as a terrorist group by everybody, even including, I mean, does Ireland not recognize the Houthis? First of all, can I be clear? It's such a disservice, it's such a betrayal of the Yemeni people to refer to the Houthis as Yemen, right? In the same way that referring to the Islamic regime, the mullahs, as Iran, it's not fair to the Iranian people. I mean, to be fair, the Yemeni people on average have more backward views compared to the Iranian people. However, it is still not fair to them because especially given, I mean, for three reasons, Houthis are not Yemen. First of all, they're not recognized as the official government of Yemen by most countries. Second of all, they don't control many parts of Yemen, right? Third of all, even in the places that they control, the support for them is less than 10%. Let alone the other places, right? So they have no support. They don't control most of Yemen, and they're not recognized as the official government. So for by what metric are we referring to the Houthis as Yemen? Right? So you're not referring to Yemen. You're referring to a terrorist group recognized by every. I mean, aren't Houthis recognized as a terrorist group by the Irish government itself? Or
let's find out. I mean, obviously are we Houthis?
Shouldn't she be kicked out of politics? I don't know. This is insane. How is Ireland? Ireland's supposed to be one of a first world country. Like, you're supporting terrorists. Your politicians. Is she a Muslim or is she just wearing hijab because she's in Yemen?
She's just an anti-imperialist socialist. Okay, let's see. The Irish government does not officially recognize the Houthi movement as a terrorist organization.
Wow.
I mean, the United Kingdom has not prescribed the Houthis as a terrorist group either, apparently.
What the fuck? I mean, they're attacked. What the hell? What do you need to do to be a terrorist group these days? Like, what else do you need to do? They're attacking civilian ships. Like, what the fuck do they need to do? There's oh my god. How?
Well, I mean, there was a period where the United States only redesignated them recently.
Yeah, that's
in January. You know, they were designated by Pompeo like right when the last Trump administration was closing. And then new administration came in, they took off the designation. I think part of that had to do with getting people humanitarian aid and the legalities surrounding that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
okay, but
it's possible that there are other considerations.
But that was not because they weren't terrorists. That was because they were like, okay, if we label them as a terrorist group, these aid organizations are not going to be able to get the aid in, and a lot of people are going to die. They were like, they didn't. I mean, whether that decision is correct or not, it wasn't like they sat around and were like, well, these people are clearly not terrorists, so let's remove them from a terrorist list. That was a matter of like just trying to get aid in.
No, I mean. Sure, but for all I know, that could be part of the reasoning behind why they're not designated.
Yeah, well,
I'm just trying to have like give a good faith argument. You know what I mean?
Well, may I also add that these people are supporting a group that has been more devastating to Muslims than Westerners and Israelis. Right?
Yeah.
I hope they understand that. Like this, supporting the Houthis is an anti-Muslim position because the main countries that have suffered economically from the attacks of Houthis on civilian ships have been Muslim countries, especially Egypt. Like if you go and look at the amount of the financial cost to Egypt because of these attacks, is so much higher than the cost to Israel, so much higher. So, and this is a country that is suffering from a lot of poverty already. So the Houthis are harmful to Muslim countries, and these people are supporting them. They're like, oh, anti-Zionist, anti-imperialist.
What I've come to realize is this is actually par for the course, you know, and because I think of this book called Cruelty and Silence by this Iraqi academic, what's his name? Kanan Makia, and it was published in 1993. And so, you know, he was talking about his experience under Saddam, and obviously it was 1993, so it was a very different time. But basically, one of the major arguments of his book is that the Arab world and Arab intellectuals are willing to have complete silence and utter cruelty in their silence against condemning Saddam, because they are willing to turn a blind eye to Saddam's torture and Republic of Fear towards the Iraqi people simply because Saddam has an antagonistic and hostile stance towards Israel. And one of the central kind of arguments of his book, which I've been meaning to read in full for some time, but he's basically saying we are doing this all for the sake of Palestine. But why must we have utter silence and cruelty in our silence about the abuses of my fellow countrymen, the Iraqi people, for the sake of, I mean, I don't know what the population was back in the 90s, but let's go nowadays. In the Palestinian territories, there's like 5 million people. So let's kind of do the same comparison that he was doing with Iraq, but with Yemen. So we're going to sacrifice the well-being of almost 40 million people in Yemen for the sake of 5 million people in the Palestinian territories. He's saying these Arab intellectuals are willing to have utter hypocrisy. They expect more from Israel and the Western powers versus we do from our own Arab leaders towards the treatment of Arabs. When it's an Arab leader doing this to our fellow Arab countrymen, we don't give a shit because we're willing to sacrifice all of it for the sake of the 5 million people in the Palestinian territories, but be utterly silent in the face of all the cruelty and abuses inflicted on multiple more Arabs just in other parts of the world because their leaders, who are torturers, happen to just be antagonistic to Israel. And I think that's such an interesting argument.
Yeah, so basically, simply put, let me know if this is a good summary. The amount of suffering inflicted upon Yemenis by the Houthis is astronomically higher than what happened in Gaza after October 7th. So much higher. Like what Houthis did to the Muslim Arabs of Yemen. It's like, and I'm not exaggerating. If you go look at the numbers, if you look at the famine, if you look at the extreme poverty, if you look at the disease, it's on a different scale. I'm not trying to dismiss the suffering of people in Gaza, which Hamas is responsible for. That is a very high amount of suffering. However, it's so much higher what's happening to the Yemeni people and what the Houthis did to the Yemeni people. So much higher. But nobody cares about Yemeni people. I mean, not nobody, but many people don't care about Yemeni people because the Jews are not involved. This is all about the Jews. This is all about Jewish hatred. It has very little to do with supporting people, caring about their misery, caring about their hardship. This is all excuses for being anti-Jewish. That's the only thing that makes a difference here. But yeah, this is another video. Should we play this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have admired.
And again, both of these are Irish politicians, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We have admired.
إنه لفخر كبير أن نشارك في هذا المؤتمر ونكون في صنعاء وهو.
Oh, there's an Arabic translation on it. I don't know what they're saying.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough to hear. Maybe we shouldn't play this one. I mean, I can still hear his English a little bit, but it's a little bit tough.
Okay, it's very short. Let's just listen to it. It's only 30 seconds.
We have admired.
إنه لفخر كبير أن نشارك في هذا المؤتمر ونكون في صنعاء وهو شرف كبير لنا ولقد أثار إعجابنا لسنوات عديدة وشاهدنا كيف أنه تتحدون الإمبراطورية الأمريكية والإمبريالية الأمريكية والإمبريالية الغربية وترفضون الإمبريالية ولا توافقون عليها.
Also, I am really honored to be here.
وأنا أيضا فخورة جدا أن نكون في اليمن ويشرفنا أن نرى الشعب اليمني يواجه الإمبريالية مرة أخرى وإن فرض الإرهاب عليكم من قبل الرئيس الأمريكي ترامب وأنتم لديكم الشجاعة لمواجهة
American terrorism. What a joke. Okay, so basically they were saying that they're honored to be here and they're speaking about standing against American terrorism and shit like that. Just basically bullshit like that. I mean, Ireland, what the fuck are you doing? Are there anyone from, like, these are your politicians? You guys have, like, a lot of you people have lost it. Like, you're the wackos of Western Europe.
Some of the most severe anti-Semites I've ever seen. It's actually crazy. You know, and what's funny is one of our Atheist Republic community members, Zaid, some people might know, who himself is Palestinian, sent me a meme one day, and it was like different types of anti-Zionists, and one of them was, you know, and they're kind of like like Wojak style memes. And one of them is like the Irish anti-Zionist, and it was just like, we was colonized, and then hyphen no further analysis.
That's basically it. That's what, you know, I on this channel I debated with one of these Irish people. Like they reached somebody from a pro-Palestine group in Ireland contacted me, and they wanted to set up somebody to have a debate with me over the Israel-Palestinian cause, and they brought like one of the people that they thought that's good at debating these things, and actually the debate is on this channel if you guys want to go watch it. And they had no idea, like they have very little understanding of the history of the place or what the and they had no counters to all the points that I was bringing when it comes to defending Israel. It was so embarrassing. I'm like, this is your main, like, this is your debater? Like, what about I mean, if this is the level of analysis that your professional debaters have, then what is the average person? What is it?
It's basically
just this is your basically it's just that level. It's like, well, we used to be colonized, so therefore, and you just have to use a few keywords next to each other, and then we're going to be for the people who are apparently colonized and against the person on the other side. That's all the analysis they need. Like, oh, we could relate to that. Oh, fucking idiots.
Oh my gosh. Stupid. Wait, this is so funny. Wait, where was it? John just gave a super chat saying, Google Mick Wallace, China Golden Lion King. So I did, and this came up. So apparently, oh, come on, what's happening? Oh, wait, remove this. Yeah. Okay, add this. Cool. So this Irish politician is apparently so common in Chinese state TV that in China, Mick Wallace has become so familiar. He has a nickname, Golden Lion King. It's a reference to a wild-haired character from a popular book and TV series who defends the protagonist. It's because Wallace has spoken up for China many times.
That's funny.
Dude, that's hysterical. John, thank you for putting that on our radar.
People are living it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Let's go through the social media posts that Dee found. Then the super chats and stuff. So this was just the video that we already saw. And again, the video that we other saw. And then someone is saying, like, let's hope they stay in Yemen. I don't think that's gonna happen. Oh, is this person is saying, thank you for being an example of a humble Westerner. We in the West have so much to learn because we are an infantile and childish society, and the Yemeni people are the adults of the world. Wait, can you scroll up a little bit? Oh, replying to Claire Daly herself.
Interesting.
That comment is ringing to me as sarcastic. My spidey senses for sarcasm are tingling. I could be wrong.
I don't know. You can't tell with these.
I never know nowadays.
Should we do the super chats?
Nidhesh is saying he's a golden retriever, not a lion. Okay, first of all, how dare you defame golden retrievers like this? I don't even like golden retrievers. I think they're way over. Golden retrievers are overhyped.
Hey, no, don't say that.
No, I mean, oh, okay. Hey, Thom just became a new member. Thank you for becoming a member. Hey, Thom, welcome to Satan's Minions.
Yay.
Amit also celebrating his membership for 6 months. Thank you, Amit. Saying, is it Jerusalem Day already? Well, technically it already passed. Since it's the last Friday of Ramadan. And Nina gave €2 saying, one day, guys, please talk about Hassan Piker. Well, I mean, we do talk about him every now and then. Armin has done a lot of streams reacting to a lot of his misinformation when it comes to Iran and the Islamic Republic. Sometimes those streams or the streams you do on Kyle Klawinski, I think those are better for me. But the streams you do on Hassan, like, I almost can't watch them because I get so frustrated. You know what I mean? I'm like, Armin has a stomach of steel to sit through this because I'm like, I'm like, this is infuriating. I'm not going to inflict myself on this. Yeah. Ur gave 5 Atheist Republic memberships. Thank you. That's so generous. And a Gasian celebrating his membership for so long, 39 months. That's a long-term supporter right there. Thank you, Gasian. Saying, would y'all consider Mario's brother a terrorist? Meaning Luigi Mangione. A terrorist.
What the hell?
Do you know who Luigi Mangione is, Armin?
The Mario Brothers?
No, he's making a joke. He's referring to Luigi Mangione, who's the guy that killed the United Healthcare CEO.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, yes, of course. Yeah, of course. Why not?
Yeah. The only thing keeping me on the fence is, like, I don't know the letter of the law, but I'm leaning towards yes.
No, terrorism is not a legal term. It's a political term. right?
What is also
I mean,
legal.
it is a legal term sometimes, but we don't have to look at so terrorist is somebody who does any act of violence or anything else or attempted violence for either a political cause or a religious cause. There, so it fits the definition of terrorist. It doesn't. It's not about the scale of the attack. So somebody could kill 1,000 or 10,000 people, and for it not to be, and it could be not terrorism, right? So, for example, if somebody goes and kills 10,000 people for the fun of it, not for any political or religious messaging or any, technically that would not be a terrorist. That would be a monster that committed a great crime, but not a terrorist. And somebody could could go just injure somebody a little bit, and for the sake of a political message or a religious message, that would be a terrorist. Or even just threatening to do such a thing and not even being able to carry it out. That would still be a terrorist. So it's not about the amount of damage that you cause that makes you a terrorist. It's about the intention. So yeah, that guy would definitely be considered a terrorist.
And Angry Keyboard Warrior just gave a $5 super chat. Thank you, who's also a member. Saying, did you see Gideon Levy, one of the main writers at Haaretz, appeared on Jackson Hinkle's show? Yes. And his apology was so embarrassing, bro. He's like, I didn't know this guy was a full-blown anti-Semite. I apologize. I'm sorry.
Right.
The apology he posted was so bad. I was like, oh, this sucks. If all of your work fits so perfectly into the hands of like institutionalized anti-Semites, like I don't know at what point you start asking questions. I saw one person say, like, if I see one more neo-Nazi linking me to Haaretz article, I'm gonna lose my mind. Okay. Shall we go to the next news? This is very juicy and like a little controversial.
Oh, wow. Is it clappable?
Well, yeah, because there are consequences that are coming. Consequences are coming, cool. My friend.
Okay. Next news. Oh, wait. I forgot to mention. I was like, while you were talking, I saw something I needed to tell people. Our members, remember I was telling people that we're trying to get to 250 members?
Mm-hmm.
Just like last week. I just checked. We're at 378 members. Holy shit. What the hell? How did we grow so fast? And thank you guys. This is amazing because if we ever get to 1,000 members, all our financial problems will basically vanish. Okay, we will have no more financial problems if we get to 1,000 members, and we're already at 378, and that is insane. And thank you so much. Okay, so thank you. All right, so next news.
Hamas scandal at Georgetown University. Professor faces deportation over terror ties. A firestorm has erupted at Georgetown University after Badr Khan Suri, a postdoctoral fellow at the Prince Al-Walid bin Talal Center for Muslim-Christian Understanding, or ACMCU, was arrested and now faces deportation for his open support of Hamas and direct ties to the terror organization. According to federal authorities and reports from the Middle East Forum, Suri not only spread literal Hamas propaganda online, which was defending October 7th massacre of Israeli civilians, but also has personal ties to the terror group through his marriage to Mahfiz Ahmad Yusuf Saleh, who is the daughter of senior Hamas official Ahmed Yusuf, who Ahmed Yusuf, her father, served as a senior political advisor to slain Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh. Suri's arrest, carried out under provisions of the Immigration and Naturalization Act, followed years of actively promoting anti-Semitism in Hamas messaging, including a video justifying the kidnapping of Israeli children and insisting that Hamas must, quote, sustain its resistance. While Georgetown officials dismissed the arrest as McCarthyism, critics praised the move as long overdue. Quote, the American people deserve better from, the American people deserve universities free from terror sympathizers, said Anna Stanley, who's a research associate who produced this report for the Middle East Forum. Quote, this deportation sends a strong message. Those who support terror will find no sanctuary in our institutions. So let us give a little bit of a backdrop here. So, so Badr Suri is a visiting fellow at the Georgetown University Prince Alawid bin Talal Center for Muslim Christian Understanding, which was this kind of department set up within Georgetown, which is was originally funded by this Saudi prince, and originally set up with the scholar John Esposito, and has since been sustained by like hundreds of millions of dollars from Qatar. And so this man was a visiting fellow there. He's an Indian national, and he was in the country on a student visa. And so this institution within Georgetown, the ACMCU, is notorious. It's supposed to be for Muslim Christian understanding, you guys. Muslim Christian understanding. They're notorious for basically supporting extremism, because within the ACMCU, they have this subsidiary, which is called the Bridge Initiative. And one of the things that the Bridge Initiative does, and you guys can all look this up right now, it's all public, is they create like a Rolodex of fact sheets against so-called Islamophobes. And this can include anyone from Rishi Sunak to Geert Wilders to many people who are self-proclaimed Muslims like Asra Nomani, and basically it's this fact sheet to kind of defame them as bigots and Islamophobes for their critiques of extremism. And they produce these fact sheets to like put out this whole image to discredit many figures and many other academics who push back on extremist or Islamist interpretations of Islam. Right. And so this is the ACMCU is a very dark and murky element of Georgetown, and they immediately jumped to the defense of Suri, not acknowledging any of the accusations of how close his connections to literal Hamas is, and just saying that one of the people at ACMCU at Georgetown said that this is what happens in Putin's Russia. This is what happens in communist China. This is McCarthyism, blah, blah, blah. For this professor to be, going through deportation proceedings, dot, dot, dot. It's only because they're being targeted for their views on Palestinian rights. No, they're not being. Well, if you conflate support for Hamas as speaking on Palestinian rights, then you would be correct. But he is not facing deportation proceedings for his opinions on Palestinian rights. He's facing deportation proceedings because of his stated support of Hamas and the connections that he has to literal Hamas leadership. There's a distinction there. That is a national security issue. You know what I mean? Like, it's so dishonest, the framing that has not only been taken by Georgetown but also by news associations like Politico. They say, oh no, it's just because they're being targeted because of their pro-Palestinianism. It's like, No, they're being targeted because of their stated and open support of Hamas. This is not like a oh, you have to read between the lines kind of situation. This is very obvious on their social media. You know what I mean? And so one thing that's important to consider, well, actually, I'll get into the immigration stuff in a second because I have some opinions there. But as you can see on our little thumbnail here, you can see the photo of him with his wife at their wedding, okay, in front of the Palestinian flag. But what is the picture that they're holding? The picture that they're holding is a photo of Yasser Arafat kissing the forehead of Sheikh Yassin, who is the founder of Hamas. Okay, so that's one. And again, this is on their own social media. Okay. Then secondly, what is this other photo you see over here on the right? You can see on the far right, Suri holding hands in a raised kind of celebratory gesture, literally with Ismail Haniyeh.
Holy shit, man. What the fuck? Who's defending this guy?
And you're like, oh no, it's because of their support for Palestinian rights. I'm like, this dude is doing a celebratory salute with Haniyeh. I think we have some other issues. Like, it's so dishonest.
Right.
It's so frustrating. And so I want to highlight the connection here once again. Okay, so there's this scholar, Suri, who was at ACMCU. Okay. Well, we partly found out about this guy's whole identity because the researchers discovered that the daughter of a senior Hamas official was a grad student at Georgetown. And her name is Mafiz Ahmad Yusuf Saleh. And then they realized, oh, her husband is also at Georgetown and he's Suri here on a visa. Now, Mafiz Ahmad Yusuf Saleh, the daughter, is an American citizen. Their children are American citizens. But the daughter, Yusuf Saleh, is the daughter of Ahmed Yusuf. Ahmed Yusuf, again, was a senior political advisor in the political wing of Hamas. People try to whitewash it and separate the two. They're like, oh, no. He was not a part of Hamas. Not a part of Hamas. He's part of the political arm of Hamas. And we're like, give me a fucking break. It's all terrorism. Like,
wait, how did this guy get in to begin with?
Well,
like,
okay.
He's asking.
I do not believe that Georgetown has an interest in vetting a scholar like this.
But how did it get through immigration? Like, how did it get a visa?
That I don't know. I mean, part of it has to do with the school.
Were these pictures? Did he have a picture with Ismail Haniyeh before he came to the U.S.?
I actually don't know when he entered the U.S. off the top of my head.
Because the immigration filtering in the U.S. sucks. If somebody has a picture with Ismail Haniyeh and they manage to get into the United States, like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, what?
I actually can pull up his.
We used to think it's like impossible to be like, you have to go through so many different, barriers to be able to go to the US. We felt like it was so difficult, but you get to be a terrorist supporter and they just let you in. That's insane.
Yeah, I can pull up his deportation proceedings, but it's like all this documentation that I don't know what it means. Because it's ongoing. There was like some stuff that came out a few days ago. But basically I don't have a look, I'm no lawyer or whatever, but I believe what would you call it? Like the code under which he is facing deportation is not necessarily for having committed a crime. The code under which he is facing deportation is more around foreign policy implications, something like that. I don't really understand like the technicalities of it. Because that's always something that is thrown in the face by journalists. They're like, they're not being accused of a crime, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, there are other technicalities under immigration and naturalization law in which someone could be deported without having committed a crime, right? Yeah. So anyways, Georgetown is getting exposed for having a lot of Hamas in its departments. Yeah. And there's going to be a forthcoming report that is going to be digging into kind of Islamist corruption, one could say, at Georgetown, that should be coming out in the next month. And this was only one tiny piece of it that they discovered while they were doing this larger investigation that they then brought to the attention of the Trump administration by reporting on it. So I'm definitely going to be following that story. And when that next news story comes out, like the big report, we're definitely going to cover it. But like there was the ACMCU, which issued this whole statement completely in defense of Suri, like not at all acknowledging the virulence of what he has said. But also like the larger Georgetown body hasn't really made comment, even though I was watching an interview with the researcher that exposed this, and she was saying that she brought this to the attention of individual board members of Georgetown University. She brought this to the attention of Jewish chaplaincy at Georgetown University, and she's just gotten silence. And the only statement that's really been made is from his own little subsidiary department, in which has just been complete defense of him. And, you know, this is important to consider because Georgetown is one of our most important academic institutions. It is a highly influential institution that creates many people who will be going into the foreign policy world as they exit their education. And you have to consider what's going on at an institution, because this person did not hide like their connections. There was a article in 2018 in the Hindustan Times with from the wife, and the wife talks about how she worked for Hamas. Like it's not it like this information was like out there, you know what I mean? And this is then that woman herself ended up becoming a grad student. So, you know, you have to question the influence that a scholar like this guy would have upon his students. His area of expertise is supposed to be like the Middle East and peace studies.
Wow. So this is how you're brainwashing the next generation of young Americans, people who are studying politics. If you're studying Middle East, you're being taught by somebody who supports Hamas.
Well, and is literally like married into Hamas, essentially.
Yeah. And these are basically, these are students who are studying to be the future politicians of the United States. And these are their teachers.
Not even politicians, like think tank, like policy advisors, maybe foreign service officers.
And politicians, all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. John is saying this place is literally a State Department feeder school. Exactly. So look how this is how they get you. This is how they invest for the long term. You know, they come, and the people who are going to come and fill out your political institutions, these are their teachers.
Yeah.
By the way, may I add regarding the First Amendment and free speech? May I add something here? Because some people might say, "What about their free speech? Don't we have the First Amendment in the United States? Aren't you like, even if their opinions are wrong, shouldn't people, based on the First Amendment in the Constitution, be able to come and express their opinions without any consequences?" And unfortunately, some people on our side make the mistake and saying free speech shouldn't apply to them. That's not the way you defend the deportation of people like this, okay? Free speech should apply to them, but this is not, like, let me tell you what's happening here, okay? The First Amendment does apply to citizens and non-citizens. So the First Amendment does apply to this person, okay? But what does free speech and the First Amendment mean when it comes to free speech? What is it saying? Basically, what is happening is that if your opinion, expressing your wrong opinion, is not being categorized as a crime, right? So whether you're a citizen or a non-citizen, your opinion, even for a terrorist group in the United States, will not be categorized as a crime. That's how the First Amendment applies here. But then when it comes to immigration, whether you have a green card or a student visa or a work visa or whatever you have, that's a privilege. That's not a right, right? And to take that privilege away, a government does not necessarily need you to have committed a crime. There are other things that they could use to take that privilege away from you. Committing a crime is one of the reasons where a government can use to take that privilege away from you as a non-citizen. There are other things. One of them includes support for terrorism. Support for terrorism is not a crime in the United States, but it is reason enough to take your immigration status away from you in the United States. So this is how your free speech is not being violated, because it's not being categorized as a crime. But this is not about a free speech issue. This is a violation of your immigration status. Basically, the things that you can violate, even if it's not a crime, that you're immigrant. Because the same reasons that the government would not give you a green card or a visa are the same reasons why that a government could take away your visa or your green card. Do you understand that? So if you think that free speech means that there should be no limit, there should be no consequences for somebody that is not a citizen and staying in the United States, that means that there should be no filtering based on ideas or values for visas, green cards, or even citizenship. So, for example, if you think that's a free speech violation, then that you shouldn't ask people to do an oath for their citizenship or say that they are respecting the values of this country or the laws of these countries, because they should basically be able to believe whatever they want, and you should still give them visas and green cards and citizenship. And that's an insane ask.
Well, that's exactly what like a postmodernist leftist would want. What are you talking about? They wouldn't want any of that. A lot of them want to abolish American. They don't believe in borders. So okay. What are you talking about? They're like, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, but they're insane. I'm not talking to insane people. I'm talking to our audience. I'm not talking to lunatics, okay? I'm talking to I just want our audience to realize how to defend this, because they shouldn't go around and say that free speech shouldn't apply to certain people. Free speech should apply to all people, but this is not a matter of free speech. The government has not declared that you committed a crime. The government has declared that you have done something that makes you not welcome in this country anymore, even if it's not a crime. So this is not the country. The government is by not announcing it a crime, the whole free speech issue is not being violated here. I want people to understand that. And anybody that thinks that free speech means that anybody could say anything and they should be welcome in this country, that means there's no filtering. That means we should remove the oath from the citizenship. That means that we should, even when you're applying for a green card or a visa, if they ask you about your values or your views, all of those questions should be put away. Like, for example, when I became a Canadian citizen, I was told like that I should accept that, I don't know, FGM is not accepted in this country. I should have been able, if I'm a Muslim, for example, if I object to that, or like, no, I don't like this, I don't like your laws, Canada, I do not respect your laws, should that person be given a citizenship? No. Okay, so free speech when it comes to the laws of a country does not mean that there are zero consequences to your views and values. It just means that you will not be punished as a criminal. You will not be free speech when it comes to the level of free speech that we want from a country. It only means that you're not going to be treated as a criminal because of your expression of views. It doesn't mean that there are going to be zero consequences. That's not the standard that we're asking for. So it's important for you guys to understand how to defend the deportation of these monsters. It's important because free speech is so important that you should not go around and spread the idea of like, okay, we could take the free speech of these people away. This is not a free speech issue. This is an immigration status issue. Anyways, sorry, that went for long. This is very important to me because I don't like people on our side walking around and saying like, oh, free speech should be limited for these people, because this is an attack on the standards of free speech that we don't want. We do not want that. Oh, thank you, Muhammad Tariq. I appreciate that. Oh, Susie, I'm done. You could come back. Let me actually, now that Susie's away, I think she went to the washroom. Let me see what D has, the comment that D has selected for us. Georgetown. So this is just the news. Then what was he doing holding hands with Ismail? Okay, so this comment is saying, this is his name, by the way, Badar Khan Suri, a Georgetown student and employee, is getting deported for being pro-Hamas, yet some swear he was just pro-Palestine. Oh, really? I mean, technically, I saw Jean in the comment also mentioning they are pro-Palestinians, but specifically the Palestinians that are members of Hamas. Yet some swear he was just pro-Palestinian. Oh, really? Then what was he doing holding hands with Ismail Haniyeh, Hamas leader? Deportation will earn. Honestly, guys, I think anybody who comes and says I'm pro-Palestinian without actually saying that they're pro-Israeli, even if you don't see any connections to Hamas, I think it's fair to deport them. Because the pro-Palestine these days, unless you clarify that I'm pro-Israel and I'm pro-Palestine in a way that I want to support Israel by saving Palestinians from Hamas, if you just put out pro-Palestine out there, I consider you to be pro-terrorism, right? But let me see. Susie, okay, Susie's back. I know Susie wants to. You could read. You want to read the comments?
Sorry, I had to get my pain stuff. So this post said, Badr Khansuri, a Georgetown postdoctoral fellow who spreads pro-terror rhetoric and anti-Semitic propaganda on social media, has been arrested by Department of Homeland Security and set for deportation. Suri is married to a Palestinian woman whose father is a senior Hamas figure and his previous. Oh, it cut off. Wait, go to the reaction. Go down. Yeah. This person. Suri, you've been shalomed. Enjoy.
Okay. This is, I think, just an. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So this is kind of just a breakdown of the case. So scroll down a little bit to the reaction. Saying education doesn't change the jihadi thought process. Look at his research that also screams the victim card. Like,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, it does sometimes change the jihadi thought process. It enhances it. Education. Sometimes education just, yeah. Anyways,
it clarifies it. It crystallizes. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there's something else I was going to say. I forgot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's why I shouldn't be interrupting you. You forget.
I was watching an interview with the researcher that exposed all of this, and she basically said that she said that it's possible that he will not end up getting deported because his wife is American and his kids are American. But it remains to be seen. And, here's the thing. People can be pissed about this, but we have something called due process. You know what I mean? We have due process. He's going to be going through full proceedings.
Yeah, but he should have his day in court. But honestly, if the court then stops the deportation, then I don't know what the fuck is happening in the US. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the hell. Okay, yeah, fine, fair. Have your due process, defend yourself, and then the court has to realize, like, okay, this guy is actually a terrorist sympathizer, so get the fuck out. But we'll see. We'll see
what happens. I don't know. It's just so crazy for me when people play like the how can we do this? This is like Gestapo stuff, because like my boyfriend is an immigrant in this country, his presence in this country is a privilege, and I watch how he maintains his behavior to stay here and how serious it is and the lengths that he goes to. You know what I mean? Like it's a very serious matter, and so having that be a part of my life, it's just hard for me to kind of sympathize with this to a certain degree, because if you're here on a visa, like, you know very intimately the qualifications and the prerequisites of you remaining here. You have to conduct yourself a certain way.
You're a
That is
guest.
part of, you're a guest, and that's a part of the legal process. You know what I mean? Especially if you're going for a green card eventually. I don't, this guy, he was just on a like a doctoral visa or whatever. But like, you know that you are held to a certain standard and you're kind of going through a trial run. You know, like, I don't know. It's kind of so, and especially because this is a part of my life, and like my boyfriend will ask me questions of like, why do people hate the immigration services so much? You know, like, why are they so sympathetic to people here that are here illegally? Like, I work very hard to be here legally. Like, and then having to explain it to him, you know, it's almost like a kind of from the mouths of babes kind of thing, where when you're trying to explain it to a child, like, you realize how stupid some of the reasoning is. I'm like, oh, actually, I don't have a good explanation for a lot of this stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's just changed my mind about a lot of things.
That's a very good point. I'm glad that you brought that as an example. And that's why, you know, people like your boyfriend should be like very much welcome, because they understand what's happening here, right? They understand that this is, they appreciate the country giving them all these opportunities. And these people come in, and these other people come in, and not only they don't appreciate, they basically stand up against the values, and they support the enemies of the country that has been generous enough to them to give them this opportunity.
That's what's so funny that he doesn't get. He's like, if there were a bunch of people from my country that were coming here and being a super big problem, like they came in a big group and they're becoming a huge problem to the other communities, and they are not adapting to like American culture, he's like, I would be the first person to be like, fuck these people, send them home. You know, like, he's like, I don't get it.
I mean, every country should be like that. Every country should be like, yeah, if you come here and we don't like you, we don't want you here. You're a guest and you overstayed your welcome. By the way, Muhammad, I love Muhammad in the chat, but I disagree. So I hope you don't mind me disagreeing with you, Muhammad, over this one. Muhammad is saying due process for people like this is not right, in my opinion. You cannot give due process for those who want to destroy you or support those that do. Islamists use your own due process against you. I don't agree. I think the due process should be fixed in a way so that it cannot be misused, but it's not right to take due process away, because you can never be sure whether or not these are the people who deserve this treatment or not. Like, we cannot just rely on reports on the news or this stream, for example. Like, you cannot rely on me and Susie. You cannot rely on tweets. You cannot rely on news reports to understand whether or not this is a deserving or not. You need a structured investigation by an unbiased entity to look into this. Like, we cannot just this needs to be investigated. So you think these people don't deserve this or that? Well, how do you know they don't deserve this or that? You cannot just rely on what I'm saying or Susie is saying or what some tweets are saying. You need an independent investigation to make sure you're getting it right. So that's why you need due process. And even people who are garbage require due process. Because first of all, it has to be established that they're actually garbage, okay?
Yeah.
But also human rights, guys, is not for good people. Human rights is for all people. Like, we are a civilized society based on how we treat the worst of all people, and and how we treat the worst of all speech, right? So just in the way that free speech is not just for good speech, free speech also includes horrible speech. Human rights also includes the most horrible people, right? That's how you differentiate yourself from an uncivilized society. But yeah, that's my opinion. Yeah.
Dude, this weird ass comment. Brandon is saying, "Don't worry. Once he becomes his citizen, I'm sure your boyfriend will be his true self." You're assuming he wants to become an American and have his ass owned by the IRS. Oh my god. You want to respond to Shami?
By the way, Muhammad just said, I get where you're coming from, Armin. I respect your opinion. I have to rethink about my opinion. Well, that's very mature of you. I mean, I'm not saying I'm right, by the way. So but that's my opinion at the moment. And I appreciate your response to that. That's amazing.
I just think it's so stupid. Like, Armin, you literally emigrated to a country and then eventually naturalized. Like, you didn't start doing Atheist Republic until you were a naturalized citizen because you knew, right?
No.
That's what you told me.
No, I didn't. I was doing Atheist Republic even when I was still in Iran. And when
publicly, sorry.
Yeah, I didn't become I didn't become public about who's behind Atheist Republic. Not because I was worried that this contradicts Canada's values, because I know Canada had no issues with it. I was just wanted to never be public about it until I know that I could stay in Canada without ever being sent back.
Yeah.
So until I became a permanent, when I became permanent resident, I knew that I'm never going to have to worry about being sent back to Iran ever again. So that now, because I was worried about the Iranian government, not about the Canadian government. So I just wanted to make sure that I don't become public about Atheist Republic and then go back to Iran, and then I have to deal with that. So I became public about who's behind Atheist Republic once I got my permanent residency.
Yeah, no, but I guess that wasn't a good example. But I'm just like saying, like, from your literal own experience, you know about what it's like to come to a country on a visa, naturalized, and that you understand that you have to conduct yourself a certain way when you're a guest.
Oh yeah.
This is not rocket science, guys. Like,
I mean, I didn't think about that much because I considered my values to be Canadian values already. So I didn't think like I have to worry about my behavior because I consider my behavior to be good behavior anyway. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, but we got
should we go to the super chats?
And yeah, and Darko got a membership.
Darko just gifted 10 Atheist Republic memberships. Thank you, Darko. That's so generous. Amazing. We're trucking along, you guys. Like, we literally could not do this without your support. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sketch Therapy gave a super chat saying, violating a contract is not a crime, but it has consequences, especially if that contract is with the government. Parentheses, love your work.
Exactly. So if you are doing stuff that violates the conditions,
terms of agreement, it's a terms of agreement.
Terms of the agreement, the term of the agreement of your visa or your green card or whatever, that is not under criminal law. You know, it's mostly like contract violations are considered civil law, not criminal law. But it is a violation, and you have to get the fuck out, even though it's not a crime. You still have to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Good point.
Gajian also gave a super chat saying, I'm a born American citizen. If they took away our due process, I have no way of proving it without due process. Same for me.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. And it's also not just any due process, okay? Because we could have due process and could be shitty due process, okay? So it has to be, yes.
Never forget that the Islamic Republic has due process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh, speaking of the Islamic Republic, let's go to the next story.
Next news. Okay. And that's the video is for this one?
The video. No.
Oh, that's for the fourth news.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Clappable. Okay. Next news.
Double agent scholar exposing the Iranian regime's tactics in Sweden amid rising concerns over foreign. Yeah, Armin, do you recognize this guy?
No, but this sounds fucking amazing. Tell me.
Just wait until you find out what his name is. Okay. Amid rising concerns over foreign influence in Western intellectual circles, the person at the center of this controversy, Armin, his name is Ruzbe Parsi.
Oh, wait. Hold on.
And do you know who his brother is? Trita Parsi.
Trita Parsi, the founder of Nayak? This is his brother?
Yes.
And this has been a spy?
No. We're not making that. We're not making that argument. I'm not making that claim. That's defamatory.
Okay.
No. We just are interested in some of his connections and associations and potential influence. Okay. So Rusbeh Parsi, who's head of the Middle East program at the Swedish Institute for International Policy, which receives public taxpayer money, by the way, finds himself at the center of a controversy. Implicated in the Iranian Experts Initiative, which was directed by Iran's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Parsi is accused of participating in efforts to sway Western discourse in favor of the Iranian regime. Leaked documents reveal his attendance at secret meetings led by Iran's former foreign minister Javad Zarif, sparking intense debate around academic integrity and potential conflict of interest. Parsi defends his involvement as scholarly curiosity, stating to local Swedish news, quote, "It's about trying to read between the lines, to see what they hear, how they reason, and what could be behind the formulation." So basically, he's like saying, look, I'm not attending these meetings put on by this network called the Iranian Experts Initiative, and I'm not attending these meetings that are tied back to the Iranian Foreign Ministry because I'm with them. I'm doing it because as a scholar, I need to interface with them to understand how they think and how they analyze. Like, that's how he's framing his participation. This scandal raises
makes sense.
Yeah, this scandal raises critical questions about the balance between intellectual engagement and susceptibility to state-sponsored propaganda, prompting Swedish MP Nima Gholam Alipur to demand accountability. He's saying, quote, "Such persons cannot and should not work for an organization that is funded by the Swedish state. This should have been looked into a long time ago." Parsi's case underscores the ongoing challenges of maintaining scholarly impartiality in a world fraught with global informational warfare. So this case has been very, very controversial in Sweden. So basically, there was a leak of all this documentation and email exchanges that came out about this network. And this network is called the Iranian Experts Initiative. And this initiative was literally guided by Tehran and led by the former foreign minister Javad Zarif, according to these leaked documents that were exposed by the outlet Iran International. And, you know, I swear to God, you know, Javad Zarif, I hate this man, but he's skilled at what he does. Right. In terms of like implementing soft power around the world, he does this in many different ways, and he's been damn successful at it. Javad Zarif, noted friend of U.S. Senator and former presidential candidate John Kerry. But that's a whole different story. And
he's probably the most hated man in Iran right now.
Do you want to explain a little bit more about who he is and kind of what his history is? I think that might give people some good context.
Well, Javad Zarif is like the most influential person in Iran. One of them, when it comes after Khamenei himself, when it comes to Iran's foreign policy, and he's a so-called reformist. Here, this is his picture. Just for people to know, yeah. And he basically has managed to become very influential in Western countries' politics. He has a lot of people hired there to come and influence their politics. But the thing is that if there's one thing that the liberal-minded Iranian people agree with the hardliners, the pro-regime hardliners, is that everybody hates Zarif now, okay? Because Zarif he's a reformist, so that's why the people who are anti-regime hate him. because they see him as a lapdog for Khamenei. But his job is to basically do the unpopular policies that the hardliners don't want to do. He's the one behind the scenes who designs them and takes the responsibility for them, so that the hardliners don't blame Khamenei for it. So the hardliners hate him as well. So basically, both the hardliners, the regime supporters, and anti-regime Iranians, they both hate him with a lot of passion. So at least like Khamenei has some support by some hardliners, right? Like the hardliners, but the reformers in Iran are the most hated group, because they get the hate from the hardliners and they get the hate from the anti-regime people at the same time. And the most hated of all reformers right now in Iran is Zarif.
Yeah. So anyways, this, academic at this think tank is someone who appears in Sweden as this independent expert on Iranian issues, has been seen as this like leading voice in foreign policy issues and in the Iranian space, and has been heavily criticized for a lot of narratives that ultimately benefit the regime. Now, this is noteworthy because this is the same trajectory that his brother, Trita Parsi, has implemented in the US. So Trita Parsi founded an organization called the National Association for Iranian Community or whatever. No,
NIAC.
No, it's wrong. National Iranian-American Council. Is that the actual acronym? Anyways, it's NIAC for short. Everyone just calls it NIAC. And NIAC is one of the most hated organizations by the Iranian opposition around the world.
Yes, National Iranian-American Council, which is such a stupid name because the Iranian-Americans hate NIAC. But yeah, go ahead.
And anyway, so his brother founded this organization, and there was this whole controversy around this organization because basically it got exposed in a defamation lawsuit that happened for having links to Javad Zarif. And, Trita Parsi in many ways could be framed as being one of the most skilled originators of using progressive politics and language to push pro-Islamic Republic narratives within U.S. Public policy, foreign policy, and kind of messaging, advocacy, that kind of thing. And so they are hated by the Iranian-American community in the US because of how they are so skilled at twisting the language of progressivism into a message that supports the Islamic Republic. And so there are a lot of campaigns that happen for people who are associated with NIAC, speakers, maybe local politicians, to get their events canceled because they are pushing narratives that often are centered around removing sanctions on the Islamic Republic that will only benefit the regime and not the people. So, for example, NIAC will push a narrative that will say, oh, well, our sanctions on the regime punish the Iranian people, not the leaders, so on and so forth, and also mischaracterize a lot of the realities of the sanctions regarding like medicine and stuff. But when I go speak to my friends around the world who are Iranians about this issue of the sanctions, who many of them were living in Iran until very recently, they would say, no, we want more sanctions because the sanctions are the only thing that is identifying the fact that we are being abused so severely. So just to clarify what I'm saying, like the message that I receive from the many people that I speak to is that no, we want the sanctions because the sanctions are the only thing validating that we are experiencing these severe human rights abuses. Does that make sense? It's like,
Right.
and we know that if the sanctions are removed, that we will not benefit, because some of my friends were living very recently, and they're like, during the days of the JCPOA, they're like, that didn't increase our quality of life at all. No, it just funded their terrorism around the region. So no, sanction the fuck out of them. So this is kind of a clash of narratives. But back to Mr. Parsi here in Sweden. One more thing about the brother who's in the US. He ended up leaving Nyack and going to found a different institution called the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft. And I just want to say that so people can keep an eye out for that think tank.
Yeah, because the branding of Nyack has become so damaged that they have to rebrand and rename and come up with other ways to remain influential. Can I just add something about this man's brother, Titra Parsi and Nyack? Is first of all, the books written by him is gospel to a lot of leftist commentators in the United States when it comes to condemning America and Western imperialism. And any leftist in the United States who wants to defend the Iranian regime, they read that man's book and they refer to I cannot count the number of times I was listening to a podcast or a YouTube show and the host of that channel wanted to defend the Iranian regime, and their reference and their evidence for their points to defend the Iranian regime was his books.
Especially Democracy Now.
Yes. So imagine how influential this man, so the Iranian regime got Zarif to get Titra Parsi to go to United States to spread this leftist propaganda. Imagine the Iranian regime's narrative being tried to changed into some leftist progressive narratives. They knew exactly how to rebrand that to get the position of the Islamic Republic to seem like an anti-imperialist position, and that's how they got many leftists in the United States to support the Iranian regime. And that man was the leader of giving all the narratives and all the arguments to make that point on American media. And also beyond him, so many times, I saw on so many channels, and some not even leftist channels, mainstream media and alternative media, when they had an expert, when they wanted to invite an expert on Iranian affairs, I always even be like, oh, and our next guest is this and this, an expert on Iran. I'm like, oh my god, let me look this person up. Is this person a Nyack member? And almost every time I search, I'm like, shit, they brought a Nyack person as an expert on Iran. And it's just so infuriating. By the way, the pro-Pahlavi Iranians have just recently created a new think tank to basically counter Nyack. And I think its name is Nufti. Yes, NUF. So we now have a new organization in America to counter Nyack. These are Iranian patriots that are anti-regime and anti-leftist narratives. To counter Nyack, we have a new organization in America called Nufti, NUFDI, which is, I don't know what it stands for, but it's a non-profit, non-partisan.
Something United for a Democratic Iran.
National Union for Democracy in Iran. That is the proper organization that should be supported, not Nyack. Nufti is the organization that we support. Anyways, go on. Sorry. Let's go back to this guy.
Yeah. So, anyways, so let's give a quick breakdown about what's going on here. So there were all these emails that were leaked and they were exposed by Iran International. And these emails give an insight into Iran's influence campaign efforts and their soft power efforts in Sweden, specifically between 2013 to 2015. This is when the negotiations for the JCPOA or the nuclear talks are happening, right? The nuclear deal. So we're getting an insight into, again, a soft power network that they're trying to create during this crucial time. So here's a quote from an article in Sweden I wanted to read. Quote, email exchanges between officials show that Iran, I should say the Islamic Republic, wanted to create a non-governmental organization. So they wanted to create a charity made up of influential researchers and academics in the West. In the emails, it was described as, quote, one of the most important missions. The mastermind behind the network was top Iranian diplomat Saeed Khatibzadeh. He, along with veteran diplomat Mostafa Zahrani, played a central role in the formation of the network, the email exchanges show. Zahrani served as the link between Foreign Minister Zarif and the experts in the network. So, there's a chain going here. As a member of the Revolutionary Guard Corps and the head of the Foreign Ministry's internal think tank, he is also said to have been influential in supporting the network politically and securing funding. Quote, as you promised, this initiative needs your financial as well as political support. For the first meeting, we need money to cover the costs, including tickets and hotel expenses, Khatibzadeh wrote to Zahrani. So how did Rouzbeh Parsi, who's at the center of this controversy, respond to this? He's responded saying that it is very possible that Iranian decision makers had a motive for the group, but that his purpose in participating was something else. He was saying it was my purpose was to see how these people act here and now, how they reason when they are allowed to publish the text. And this is all translated from Swedish, by the way, so the translation might be a little weird. And then they may become a little bit more careless because it is not a press conference. It is not a press release, because when you see it in real time, unlike how so basically he's saying he's trying to interface with them in real life, because when it's real life and not on the record, you get a more organic sense of how people think and feel, because it's more off the cuff. It's more spontaneous. It's less inhibited. And so he ended up attending these meetings that happened in Vienna around the time. And then there were questions about why he had not informed his employer about his work with this Iranian experts initiative. And he's saying, I didn't have an obligation to inform my employer about it at this time. He attended this meeting in a room that was booked by the Iranian Foreign Ministry, according to the documents, which the costs were covered by the Islamic Republic. And he was like, why wouldn't I meet with the foreign ministers of other countries? My job is to figure out how they reason and how they make their decisions, which is all very sensible, but it's just so questionable when taken in whole, especially considering the activities of his brother, the narratives that they push, how he was recently canceled from speaking at an event because the local Iranian community had so much contention and felt so disrespected by his presence speaking at the event, and the connections that his brother has, again, that goes back to Javad Zarif. This needs to be taken in a broader whole.
Do we know his history, his position on the regime? With regards to whether he wants the regime.
He's very soft on the regime. Very soft on the Islamic Republic.
So I don't trust any of his excuses then. Okay. I do not trust his. This is very suspicious then.
As an example.
Yeah, go on.
As an example, as recently as November 2024, Parsi defended Iran's right to acquire nuclear weapons and claimed that the conflict with Israel could have been avoided if the country had access to nuclear weapons. Quote, Iran should have acquired nuclear weapons 3 or 4 years ago, he said on a podcast.
Fuck this guy. This guy. Okay, none of the excuses that he's saying is believable. This guy is very likely as fucking spy in Sweden by the Iranian regime.
Hey, we can't say that.
I said likely. I didn't say 100%. Okay, very likely. Okay, I didn't. But given that he is pro-Iranian regime and that he's being invited to this shit, like, first of all, was he invited or did he invite himself? Did you clarify?
To be part of this network?
Yeah.
He was invited.
Okay, bullshit. His excuses do not at all are not acceptable because the Iranian regime knows who to invite. Okay, if you decided to go to this yourself as like, oh, I'm just curious for academic research, you know, maybe some people will be fooled by that. But given that you have been invited, that means that you have been selected as somebody who is sympathetic to the Iranian regime. And I don't know, the Swedish government needs to look into this. Yo, Swedish people in the chat, tell your government to look into this.
Yeah, and this is why this Iranian-Swedish politician, Nima Gholam Alipur, was saying, like, this person works for an organization that's funded by the Swedish state. Like, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, what the fuck? Sweden, what you doing? What you doing? You have people who are working for the Iranian regime's narratives. You are like, you not only you welcome them in, you actually pay them with your tax money. Mm-hmm. What the fuck?
Well, we do that too in America, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah. Yes.
So I want people to think about it like this. It is not, I'm not going to make the claim that this guy is a spy, that he is working for the regime or any of those things. There can be a difference between someone being literally directed and paid for by a hostile foreign government and someone who essentially works towards their ends because of the convenience of their narrative. I hope people understand the distinction.
Wait, say that. What do you mean? Wait. Let's go back. What's the distinction again?
Like, you do not have to be literally being paid or literally working for a hostile foreign government to be working towards their ends because your work and your narrative is convenient to their work.
You're getting paid very indirectly, right? So, for example, a lot of people who are pushing the Iranian regime's narratives, it doesn't mean that somebody is sending them a check or wiring money into their bank account. Okay, sometimes you get paid with credibility, extra attention, invitation to places that other people don't get invited to, and more influence. And that eventually leads to higher pay, right? But you can benefit from spreading the Iranian regime's narrative in other ways than just getting directly paid, right? But it's still benefit. That makes sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not even about the fact that you're doing it for a specific benefit. It's like you have to start asking questions when someone's work and narrative is so politically convenient to their cause.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes. And also some of these people are just saying these things because they truly, truly passionately believe in it. You know, some of these people are just
I actually believe that that's mostly the case.
I don't know what the stat is, but some of these people are just hate America and hate the West and hate the world liberal order so much that they're willing to lose money for it as well. Some of them. But yeah, Amir is saying, unlike Armin that needs his pay from Mossad. Yes. Which I'm not getting, by the way. Consider me disappointed.
Disappointed.
It's okay. We have enough Zionists who are supporting us financially. Maybe not the Mossad directly. One day.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Let's go to the next story.
Wait. We forgot to read these comments and then the super chat. So this is just the news, and here's the comment.
So yeah, this person is saying the people of Iran have consistently sent messages to the world claiming that these two brothers are agents of the Islamic Republic in Iran, but their warnings have always been overlooked. Trita Parsi, his brother, is undoubtedly a strong agent of the Islamic Republic in Iran, and he's tagging Marco Rubio.
Like, a lot of Iranians love Marco Rubio. Like, Mark, you're with us. You're with the Iranian people.
Mr. Rubio, I need you to see this.
Yes, you can. you can see which American politicians Iranian people like. Okay. Okay, look at this comment.
Dude, my hatred for Trita Parsi extends so deep. Like, it's just like open lobbying. Like, it's got to be illegal, man. This person is saying, we will make Iran great again. MIGA.
Yes,
with
MIGA. Yes, we have a new thing. We have a new hashtag in Iran. We have a new, people say there's MIGA. They copied the MAGA and turned it to make Iran great again. So, what is this one?
And this is footage of Iranians showing up to a speaking engagement where Ruzbe Parsi was going to speak and just, telling him off. See, this is... Yeah. Here we go.
Okay, that's Trita Parsi. So Ruzbe, when he was in Sweden, when he was speaking somewhere, the Iranian people showed up and they said no to his brother, no to Nayak. Let me just play this with the audio a little bit. Let me see. Oh, they're saying Ruzbe B Sharaf. Ruzbe B Sharaf. So Ruzbe is the name of the brother. They're saying Ruzbe without honor. Ruzbe dishonorable. Ruzbe B Sharaf. Ruzbe B Sharaf. Ruzbe. So like this is Nayak, this is Trita. This is both of them. So Ruzbe was in the Nayak as well. So this is both of the brothers sitting next to each other with the Nayak sign symbol behind them. Ruzbe, Nayak, shame on you. Nayak, shame on you. Okay, and this one is saying what?
Thanks to all those who disgraced Nayak this year.
All these years, yes. Yeah, Nayak is very, very unpopular among Iranian
from
people.
every corner of the earth. It's so funny to me how this like little American like NGO that Americans don't know about is globally hated.
Oh, by the way, Nima is here. Nima is our volunteer from our Iranian team. Okay, so let's do the super chats.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Carl sent a super chat. Thank you, Carl, saying great stream, 5 out of 5. By the way, are there any news on the murder of Salwan Momika? Well, I mean, when he was murdered, we covered that.
Yeah,
when
we
that
did
first
cover
happened.
it. Is there updates?
Do we have any idea about like the identity of his murder or whatever?
If there are updates, maybe we'll do a news on that.
You know, I haven't heard any updates. Yeah, no, besides just when he was murdered in January. But yes, when that happened, we did cover it. Go and look at our live streams in January if you're interested. Oops. Oh shoot. I just unstarred Gajan's super chat. Wait. Oh no.
Go up.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Where is it?
You can scroll up. Here I found it.
Yeah. Gajan, thank you for the super chat, my friend, saying, why do you think Iran is shit at authoritarianism as compared to Vietnam, Singapore, and the People's Republic of China?
So first of all, it's the Iranian regime.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Yes. But let's call it the Iranian regime, not Iran. Okay, let's separate Iran from the regime, right? But I could tell you the different. First of all, Vietnam is not authoritarian anymore compared to before. Vietnam is becoming more and more capitalistic. But here's the difference between the authoritarianism in by the Iranian regime in Iran compared to other dictators in the world. Whether you're a democracy or you're a dictatorship, it usually is beneficial for you to keep your people as happy as you can, right? Because even if you're not a democracy, it is the best interest of the regime for people to be somewhat satisfied. Any regime, even dictatorial, requires a level of support from its population. Okay, most of the time. The difference is in the Iranian regime, the situation has turned into such a bizarre, insane structure, like that the Iranian regime, if I like one day maybe I should do a stream on this to tell you why the situation in Iran is that the more miserable and poorer the Iranian people are, the more beneficial this is for the Iranian regime. So, for example, let's just compare Saudi Arabia to Iran. In Saudi, both of them have regimes that are dictators, but the Saudi government actually it will become more stable if the Saudi people are better off, if they get richer, even though it's a dictatorship. However, the IRGC, for example, gets richer and more stable and more powerful if the Iranian people get poorer and become more miserable. So that's why it's such a fucked up situation right now. And I'm not going to go over the details for why that structure, why it turned out like that. Maybe I should do a stream on that. But that's why the regime is constantly trying to make the Iranian people poorer on purpose. It's part of their strategy. It's not just mismanagement. This level of devastation by the Iranian people is not a result of mismanagement. It's actually good management, but in the direction against the Iranian people. If you look at a lot of the policies of the Iranian regime, it doesn't look like, oopsie, we fucked up. It's like, no, we fuck you up on purpose. And maybe I should do a stream on that to tell you why it's beneficial to them to do that. Yeah.
I think that'd be very interesting.
Right.
Okay. Should we move to the next story? This is a little bit of a diversion, but this is some chaos going on in Kansas. Chaos in Kansas.
Satanism. Okay. So, can we clap?
Yeah, this is wild.
Next news.
Next news: religion or riot? Satanic mass controversy in Kansas. This is a little wild. Okay, in a charged and dramatic confrontation in the Kansas State House. So this is like the capital of Kansas, like where they do their, the Senate floor and all that stuff. The Black Mass event organized by the Satanic Grotto escalated into chaos, leading to multiple arrests and violent altercations. Michael Stewart, the group's president, deliberately defied government restrictions by attempting to perform the ritual indoors, following an earlier provocative act where he desecrated what appeared to be a consecrated host on the Capitol steps. This act was a bold statement by the Satanic Grotto to challenge what they perceive as religious favoritism by the state towards Christian groups, emphasizing their call for secularism and equal treatment under the law for all belief systems. As Stewart began his invocation inside, tempers flared when counter-protester Marcus Schroeder attempted to seize Stewart's script. He had this paper in his hand, prompting Stewart to strike him in the face. This incited a scuffle that ended in law enforcement swiftly tackling and detaining Stewart amidst a backdrop of shouts and turmoil. The scene escalated further when other attendees tried to continue the ritual, leading to additional arrests for unlawful assembly. This incident not only highlighted the stark divisions over religious expression, but also ignited a broader debate on the use of public spaces for such provocative displays. So let's give a breakdown of what happened, because there's actually a lot going on here. In fact, do I have the photos? One second. Let me find this article that actually has a lot of photos so I can kind of give a better blow by blow of what happened. So, oh, come on. Which one was it? Oh, please. Wait. Okay, here we go. 1 second. So basically, let me give a breakdown of what happened. So the Satanic Grotto, which is a Satanist group in Kansas, was basically planning to do a religious invocation or a black mass inside the Kansas state capitol. And there was a like a politician in Kansas who did not give the permission for them to do that inside the state capitol. Like, I can't remember if it was the governor or some other level of politician, but basically there was someone that specifically said, you're not allowed to do this inside. So they started with doing this whole black mass outside the capitol. And so let me show some photos. Okay. Wait, let me remove this, put this up. Okay, cool. And okay, let me zoom in here. This is not very big. So, sorry. This is a guy doing some heavy LARPing. Right here we have some heavy Christian LARPing.
Wow.
Like going full Knights Templar outside the Kansas State House against these Satanists. Okay, like this is high drama right here. This is high drama. And I appreciate it because, you know, I know this guy went and probably made this his profile picture. Like, God, that's an epic photo. You know what I mean? Like kneeling. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, full days. So anyways, so I'll give a, what is LARPing? LARPing stands for live action role playing. Okay, so I'm basically saying this person is like doing fantasy role play. So let's give a breakdown of this event here. So it started with this event outside. So we see all these various Christian groups, Catholic groups doing a huge, massive showing against the Satanists who were there to perform a black mass. And for those who are not aware, the Satanist black mass is kind of like a Satanist reinterpretation of a Catholic mass. And this is not the Satanists that believe in Satan as an actual deity. These are the Satanists that are like atheistic.
Yeah. Can we clarify that to people, because some people are new here and don't understand that, because like it's like some people are asking, how could you be a Satanist? Just to be clear, guys, the Satanists in America, they're not actually believers of Satan. They just most of them are, a lot of them are atheists. The whole point of the Satanist stuff is to fight for secularism. So in the United States, whenever religion tries to get involved in places where they shouldn't get involved because of church-state separation, then because a lot of Christians are sensitive about satanic elements, they come as Satanists and they're like, well, it's the freedom of religion, so you should allow us here too. Just so to point, like, if you want religion in politics or in school or anywhere else, then you should allow all religion, including ours. So this is a move, the push for secularism, to be like, either take your religion out of these areas or every religion should be allowed in. But these so-called Satanists don't actually believe in Satan. That's the whole point of what they're doing.
I mean, there are people that do believe in Satan, but they're not this group. There's a difference between the Satanic Church and then it's the Church of Satan or whatever, and then the Satanic Temple, the TST.
Temple.
So the TST,
the actual people who believe in Satan, they are very, and they're very few in number.
They're Luciferians.
The actual major, yes, they're Luciferians. By the way, this has been very effective. Like, I know some of you religious people don't like Satan. Satan, first of all, is
that's
awesome,
the point.
The character of Satan. Yeah, but the whole point is like the fact that religious people are like, ew, we don't like Satan. That's, if you think this is vulgar and you don't like it, well, that's why they're so effective, because Christians want to go into school, they want to go into politics, and because they're so disgusted by Satanism, if any laws passes that says religion is allowed here, they're basically opening the door to something that they're so disgusted by, and that's why they're like, oh, this is how you teach Christians how important it is to have secularism. Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Armin has changed. Could it be Satan?
Satan. Satan, by the way, is also like the character of Satan in the Bible is so relatable. Like I don't know why people don't like him. He was the first humanist. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, I can tell Torah Worldwide is like a theist because he's like, Satan is bad even for atheists. It's a bad idea. And we're like, no, we don't believe in him at all.
Torah,
but anyway,
we are, for us, we are, when we don't believe in these stories, okay, these are fictional characters, right? So we can actually reinterpret them in any way we want.
Okay, it's
so
like the same as
we cannot be disgusted.
Like a comic book character to me.
Yeah, we cannot be disgusted by fictional characters, and even if so for example, just like Maleficent could be bad, you could do readaptation of the story that now she's the good person, right? Like just like Disney that she was bad, now she's good. So given that it's fiction, you could just make it whatever you want. Like these are not
to us this is on the same level as the flying spaghetti monster, but the Satanist branding is helpful because of the reaction it gets versus the flying spaghetti monster is more silly. But the Pastafarians do cool secularism stuff, but it's different. Anyways, let's continue. My favorite thing about this, I don't know if you can see this one photo, but there's this guy in the back that has a sign that says Satan has no rights.
I mean, Satan, they're playing into their hand. This reaction that they're doing, these Christians think that they're fighting these Satanists, but the Satanists actually wanted this reaction because the whole reason why their activism works is because Christians get pissed off. So these Christians are actually playing right into their hands. But yeah, go on.
So this person has a sign saying like proud pagan. You know, it's like, hey, if I'm a pagan, like I also have a right to be doing my religious ceremonies in this state house as much as you do. This person is making his message clear with little separate church from state sign, you know. I love this one. Sacrilege is not free speech. Yes, it is.
It is. Yes, it is.
Oh, this guy is dressed up literally as a camel.
Why a camel?
And here's the thing. These Christians, he's showing his ass literally. They have a right to protest out here against what these Satanists are doing as much as anyone else. I'm like, they are fully within their right to be protesting these Satanists. Here's the main guy who is the Satanist. And I just love the Satanists for looking exactly how you would expect a Satanist to look. You can't see in this photo, but he has a giant tattoo on the side of his face.
Right.
So here are all these photos. So here's where things got very controversial. So as part of their Black Mass, Stuart here had a Eucharist, and he claimed that this is a consecrated Eucharist. And this is very, very controversial for Catholics because for people who do not know, like desecrating a Eucharist is basically the Catholic version of burning the Quran. Like
really,
it is so severe to desecrate a Eucharist. In fact, intentional desecration of a Eucharist.
Can you explain what is a Eucharist? It's Jesus's body.
It's the little. So for people that don't know, I mean, if you're some other Christian denominations do or do not do this, but if you're Catholic, you know the apex of the Mass is that you have the little wafers of unleavened bread, which is the host, and the priest does a blessing over the host and the wine. And as the priest does this blessing, this bread and wine becomes consecrated, which means in the Catholic belief, you believe in transubstantiation, which means that wine and bread literally becomes the blood and flesh of Christ.
Not figuratively. If you think it's figuratively the body of Christ, then you're not a Catholic. That's sacrilege. You're not a Catholic. So it's literally the body of Christ. The crackers, Jesus crackers, are actually the body of Christ.
and that it is a blessing to be able to receive the body of Christ into your body, which is why traditionally you should have gone to confession before receiving the Eucharist, so that you are in a state that is hopefully like free from sin to be able to receive that into yourself. It's a whole thing.
Which sounds demonic. But by the way, let me like, you know, the people who are like, oh my God, Satanists are so vulgar. The other side thinks that they're literally eating the body and blood of their God, right? Like, if you ask, if people didn't know about Christianity and somebody came and introduced them and be like, ask which side is the demonic one, they're like, oh yeah, definitely the side that is saying this is literally the blood of my God, and I'm drinking it, and I'm eating, and I'm biting his flesh, like, like, okay, so if you think the satanic part is vulgar, like, isn't the Christian side more vulgar? But yeah, go on.
But it's supposed to be this profound experience. In fact, people have these experiences of perceiving Christ and having these miracles happen to them with the Eucharist and this whole thing. So the whole idea is that if you are desecrating a consecrated Eucharist, you are literally desecrating the body of Christ. So for a Catholic, like, this really is like their version of burning the Quran, except they're just not going to come kill you for it. So basically, this guy claimed that he had a consecrated host, because the whole thing is that if in a Catholic mass, you know, you can go get that. And then, so, because they're distributing it out to everyone in the mass. So theoretically, it wouldn't be that hard to obtain a consecrated host that's been consecrated by a priest. Now, the thing is that these Catholics freaked out when they heard rumors that he had this. And there was a bishop or something that was even maybe threatening to sue him, because this happened before this event even happened, maybe threatening to sue him, saying that consecrated hosts are considered sacred species, and Catholics have a legal ownership of the sacred species of the mass. So they're saying, if you have this consecrated host, like, this is our property essentially, and that you've like taken this from
the
us.
cracker. They're
it's
like the piece of the cracker. Yeah, they're like, oh, that's our property. They stole our cracker.
look into the legal right of the sacred species. It's a whole thing. So it's a whole thing. So basically, they started to freak out about this.
Stole our cracker.
Yeah, it's like consecrated host, and then they were like, "How did you get this?" And Stuart said that you can get these crackers like ordered in mass, you know, like the priest ordered them online somewhere, but then, you know, they bless them, and then he's claimed that he had consecrated it himself. You know what I mean? Which, from a Catholic perspective, like, he cannot consecrate the Eucharist, so it was not a consecrated Eucharist, this whole thing. But they thought that it was. So in this photo, you can see him holding it up here as they're doing their Black Mass, and in the Black Mass, they're like kind of cursing Jesus, like talking about driving the nails through his hands, the whole thing. And then this guy comes over and tries to tackle it out of him. So this guy rushes over and tries to, because you can see that Stuart here, it dropped the Eucharist and tried to stomp it into the ground. And this guy is like trying to stop him from doing this. So this guy comes out,
save you, Jesus. Jesus.
Yeah.
I was trying to save Jesus.
Yeah. So this guy comes over, and then Stuart is like swinging on this guy. It turns into a whole thing. And then that guy who came out of nowhere gets tackled away because he like broke the police barrier that was all around this thing. It was a whole thing. So this is everything that happened outside. So then they're being interviewed. Okay, whatever. And then eventually they decide, okay, so we are going to take this inside. So because again, there was a politician that had specifically said, no, you're not allowed to do this inside. So that's why they did it outside. So at some point they end up, here are more Christians praying.
Wait.
There was a Catholic priest over here with his frankincense.
Susie, before you go, do you know these idiots just signaled to the whole world their soft spot? Like, they tried to save Jesus. Do you think you could save all these crackers? You just signaled to the whole world how to get on your nerves and how to offend you. You just invited, like, you thought you just saved that cracker. But you just put so many more crackers at risk by doing that, because now everybody sees how to get on your nerves.
Oh, well, this is not a new thing. Like if you desecrate a Eucharist,
but now more of us know.
in Catholic law, you can be automatically excommunicated, like instantly. Wow. This has been well established.
What happens if I take a cracker and crucify the cracker?
Yeah,
like I get a small.
If it's a
can I get a small
oath,
cross?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so you were not a Catholic, so you can't be excommunicated, but you would be committing sacrilege.
I know, but is that? I just think if this is the body of Jesus, can I crucify him again? Can I crucify the cracker? And that would be considered, anyways. But go on.
Yeah. So, anyways, at some point they end up going inside the state capitol because they're still allowed to enter it, right? And the highway patrol is like talking to him, probably giving him the rundown, like, hey, please don't pull some shit. And so he's like walking through the state capitol, and over here he's like talking about some specific like monument or something. And anyways, by the time he reaches the rotunda, this is where he actually does violate what he was specifically permitted to do. So at this point he goes into the rotunda and actually does begin like a recitation of his satanic verses. And you can see his little Hail Satan sign right here. And at this point, this 21-year-old kid comes over here. Oh, we have a Christian holding the crucifix up. Comes over here and tries to snatch the script out of his hand. And so then when that happens, punches him in the face twice. At which point he gets arrested.
But he was attacked first. He was attacked first.
And as he's getting arrested, he's shouting, "Hail Satan." So it just devolves into full-blown chaos and pandemonium. And this guy, again, this dude is full cringe over here. He's got his Pepe Keck shit. Again, with the role play. How you can pretend to be like some super spiritual person and then be into Pepe Keck shit is just insane to me. It's like the opposite of spiritualism.
Pepe's Catholic, you don't know that.
Yeah, so the Christians are out here and they're having their thing, you know, totally within their right to do. I support that. And then there was this whole Catholic mass that happened across the street at this cathedral. All this stuff. So anyways, this is turned into this full controversy surrounding, is sacrilege hate speech? Is this hate speech? You know, how can we allow this in the public? How can we allow sacrilege in the public? You know, this isn't allowed. How could we do this? And all this controversy. What was so funny though, I was reading this one article and they were interviewing a protester, and one of the protesters said, this was so crazy to me. These sorts of things need to be brutally tamped down. Let's set an example. I think the United States should be an explicitly Christian nation. If you want to be something other than Christian, I think that's fine to an extent. I think the non-Christians should have to pay an extra tax.
What the fuck?
There's this dude. You're saying, oh my God, this is so unacceptable. And then it is then like, we need Christian jizya. Like non-Christians, you need to pay an extra tax. We need Christian jizya.
Yeah, that's jizya. That's jizya. You're right.
Yeah. So I'm like,
Islamic.
and then they sit here and wonder why the Satanists do what they do. They're like, how could these people do this?
But
maybe
by the way, people
because you want to impose a tax on non-Christians. What the fuck?
By the way, Torah Worldwide was surprised that there's satanic verses, so I showed the satanic Bible that I have, and then she was also surprised there's a satanic Bible. What the hell? Susie, can I show them the 11 commandments of the satanic verses? Or
yeah, but
let me know when to show them.
Does the Satanic Temple subscribe to the Levian version?
No, I don't know actually. I don't know.
Because the Levians are the ones that actually believe in Satan.
No.
The
Levians? This guy, I actually watched interviews by this guy. He says that this is all symbolic.
But is it in a Western esotericism kind of way? Because there actually is an element of belief.
But he said he's an atheist.
But it's very mystical and symbolic. Sorry, continue.
I don't know, but I think I watched an interview from this very same guy, and he said like, yeah, we're atheists, and so I don't know. Maybe that was an interview for, but let me know when I can show you the 11 commandments.
Go for it.
I can do it now. Okay, so
yeah.
Let's put this.
Is it the seven fundamental tenets? Yeah. Okay. Then the Satanic Temple does follow these.
Okay.
Wait, actually, no. These are different than this. Sorry. Go ahead.
The 11 satanic rules of the earth. It says, do not give opinion. Let's see if they're any good. Okay. I mean, it's good that at least compared to the 10 commandments, the first 3 doesn't start with just obsessing over God's jealousy problem. So that's good. So the first one, it says, do not give opinions or advice unless you are asked. I mean, I don't agree with that. Sometimes it's okay to give advice, even if you're not asked. Do not tell your troubles to...
As someone who's your friend, that's kind of a defining personality trait. There's so many times where I'm trying to come to Armin with an emotional problem, and he's like giving me an opinion. I'm like, please shut up and listen.
Yeah. Yes. So I don't agree with the first one, but it's not like terrible. Second one says, do not tell your troubles to others unless you are sure they want to hear them. Well, I don't know. How could you be 100% sure? 3, when in another's home, show them respect, or else do not go there. Okay, that's not bad. And number 4, saying, if a guest in your home annoys you, treat them cruelly and without mercy. Okay, so that's fucked up. That's the first fucked up commandment. Do not make sexual advances unless you are given the mating signal. I mean, I don't know what mating signals are, but this seems like to be pro-consent. Like, I don't know, like what the mating signal means. Is it just like consent? But that's fine. That's good. It's anti-grape commandment. And then it's number 6 says, do not take that which does not belong to you unless it is a burden to the other person and they cry out to be relieved. Okay, so that just seems anti-theft. That's good. Number 7, acknowledge the okay, this is bullshit. Okay, this one is acknowledge the power of magic if you have employed it successfully to obtain your desires. If you deny the power of magic after having called upon it with success, you will lose all you have obtained. Okay, that's weird. Number 8, do not complain about anything to which you need not subject yourself. Okay, that sounds stoic. That's very stoic. Number 9, do not harm your young children. That's good. That's better than the Bible. Okay, that's right there is better. I mean, I do not endorse all of this, but that right there makes this whole thing better than the Bible. Number 10, do not kill non-human animals unless you are attacked or for your food. Okay, so animal rights are here. That's good. And number 11, when walking in open territory, bother no one. If someone bothers you, ask them to stop. If you do not stop, destroy them. Okay, that escalates from 0 to 100 quite fast. Okay, so
no, but this is not the tenets of the Satanic Temple. This is the Levians.
But this is different. This is the Levians. Okay.
Yeah,
we have different versions of
Temple. This is on their own website.
Okay, what's the Satanic Temple? Bring them.
Wait. Oh. Wait. God damn it. I'm so frustrated by SteamYard. Okay. Here, there are 7 fundamental tenets. 1. So again, this is representative of the actual
Satanic
group involved with this, right? Which is separate than what Armin just showed. 1 should strive to act with compassion and empathy towards all creatures in accordance with reason. Emphasis on reason. The struggle for justice is ongoing and a necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions. One's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. So this has to do with their pro-abortion stance. Just for reference. I wonder if this would extend to circumcision. It should. The freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of another is to forgo one's own. Beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. One should take never to distort scientific fact to fit one's beliefs. Interesting. People are fallible. If one makes a mistake, one should do one's best to rectify it and resolve any harm that might have been caused. And then finally, every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word.
Okay, so what I had was Levian Satanism. What you have is the Satanic Temple Satanism.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, yours is better. So this is much nicer than the one I had. Okay.
Yeah.
So these people that showed up there, they're adhering to this list. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's not bad. That's a good list. I don't like the second one that much because justice is such a vague term and it could be used for you to uphold. Like that sounds like too progressive for me. It seems like anti-institutions for the sake of your weird definition. Like any definition of justice could be mean, and justice to me could mean justice something else to someone else, and it just seems too revolutionary against stability. You know.
Yeah.
So I don't like the second.
No, I believe
one.
Institutions are very important.
Yes, I like
this is coming from someone who has had my faith in institutions kind of crippled lately, but I in firm contention with myself. That's a principle. That's a different story,
Torah Warwood is enjoying this. She has we have introduced a whole new world to her.
Yeah,
so she's like, this is fun.
Yeah, their whole tagline for the Satanic Temple is empathy, reason, advocacy. Yeah.
So Kenny's saying I interpret that differently, more like don't let institutions limit justice. Guys, I have a problem with the word justice. I feel like we should focus more on freedom than justice. Because everybody is pro-justice. Everybody is pro-justice. They just define justice differently. Terrorists are pro-justice. They just it's a very vague terminology, term that could be used for good and evil. And I just think that freedom is a better value to fight for, because a free society progresses in the right way. Justice is an excuse to get people, for a small group of people, to misdirect society sometimes in a direction that actually harms more people. A free society will actually figure out the right path itself through a Darwinian progression model without us needing a few better than the rest of us people to define justice for us. So I think it's always better to fight for freedom more than fighting for justice.
He's saying, I support free speech, but most Satanists are just contrarian. Well, it's within their right to be.
Contrarian, yes. Free speech means you get to be contrarian.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Yeah. Oh my gosh, we just got a super chat. This is so sweet. Red Tygon is saying 15 shekels. Thank you. Saying you're my first YouTube membership in super chat. Oh, that's so sweet.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. Don't forget to support Atheist Republic and yes, please everyone. They are an important source of info, even if they have bad takes sometimes. Hey, well, much like the Satanists, we agree that humans are fallible, including ourselves.
Yes, thank you. Yes. And Torah is saying that was Armin's Daily Musatos. Yes, thank you for the Zionist support. I appreciate that.
Yes. So let's go through the reactions on social media, and then we have some super chats, and then I want.
What about the video? You gave us a.
Oh wait, it's just
the fight.
People giving prayers and stuff. I want to save time to go through this failed assassination for our last story.
Okay. Let's do that. So, This one.
Saying what do you expect from a Satanist? If you look up pictures online, they have the most unattractive women out of all the
out of all the religions. Okay. Okay. Oh my god.
I just find that so funny.
Okay.
Like, screw dealing with any arguments or substance. They got ugly chicks.
Women are ugly. So your argument is valid. I checked your woman and they'd be ugly.
Oh my gosh, this comment is so funny. The guy in the black, meaning the person who was one of the guys interfering, merely did what anyone would do if you found someone in possession of something you hold extremely dear to you, such as an abducted child, an expensive auto, or someone squatting in your home. Okay.
Wow.
First of all, you don't understand property rights if this is your stance. Second of all, would you hold this same position for maybe a Christian preacher like Hatun Tash, who has Qurans in her possession that she has drilled holes into, that she gets attacked for holding in Speaker's Corner? Are you going to keep that same energy for a Christian preacher criticizing Islam like Hatun Tash? I would like to know. Are you going to be consistent?
Oh my God. I mean, it is the body of Jesus. You know, technically this way we could actually kidnap Jesus and hold him as a hostage in our basement. I could just basically tell people I have Jesus locked up in my basement, you know? And can I get ransom for that? Anyways, if that's how they feel about it. Okay, here.
Wait, scroll down. This person is saying Satan does have rights. This is America.
I mean, technically, Satan did fight for our rights according to the story. He was like, humans are being chained up by gods. I mean, Satan to Christianity is what Prometheus... Oh,
I'm sorry, we really need to go through the super chats.
Okay, just one sentence. Satan to Christianity is what Prometheus is to Greek mythology. They both try to liberate humans from gods. Anyways, good. Let's do the super chats.
Okay, so Gaijin gave a super chat. Thank you, Gaijin, saying, in my fan fiction, Satan becomes the light bringer, Bodhisattva, and guides demons to enlightenment, as all sapient entities may do so. Gaijin, if you're not writing a novel, you better be. This man is creative.
Yeah, right.
So creative. Gingosaurus, thank you for the shekels, is saying, how do you desecrate it? So it's after the host is consecrated, it's like everything that could be a misuse of it. So sometimes there are instances where Catholics may be in mass and they basically desecrate it on accident. Like controversies happen where maybe they like trip and fall and then it gets like damaged on the ground or something. Like that would still count. So it's like as soon as it's consecrated and handed out to the audience, it needs to be consumed immediately. And after the mass, the priest consumes anything that's left over. And there's like only a certain amount of stuff that's kept in the tabernacle, which is like locked away. It's a whole thing. So basically it's like any destruction of the consecrated flesh of Christ. But this guy attempted to just stomp it on the ground. Gaijin gave another super chat saying, if I was the People's Republic of China and I wanted to persecute people, I'd pass an Shenfanjia law stating that all deities are loved and respected in China, not to be eaten. Well, you know, for the Catholic Church to work in China, they actually had to basically create state-approved Catholicism. So it's like Catholicism with Chinese characteristics. I'm not even kidding. So I'm actually curious in how they had to adjust the mass for that. And and then we read the super chat by Red Tygon. Thank you once again for your first super chat. That's so sweet.
Yeah. Just I just quickly wanted to mention that people in the chat were mentioning apparently there were some attacks in Israel, and Jean, please, and the rest of the people there in Israel, please stay safe. I don't know what's happening. Jean was confirming that she's safe. I don't know about the rest of you, but yeah.
Oh, like a bomb warning, like alarms going off.
Yes, it was a red
oh my
alert.
Goodness, yeah,
yes.
please be safe. But it seems like people are in the clear, which is fantastic. So okay, let's go to the last story. And this is going to be kind of the culmination of a story we've been following for years, actually. And we can clap because there was justice, okay? And no one died.
Okay. Next news.
How a bumbling hitman wrecked the Islamic Republic's assassination attempt. There is nothing I love more than hearing about the low professionalism and poor OPSEC of Iranian transnational repression and assassination attempts. Okay, so let's talk about this idiot. In a plot that reads like a dark comedy of errors, Khalid Mediev, a 27-year-old Azerbaijani immigrant working at a Brooklyn pizza shop, pleaded guilty to attempting to assassinate prominent Iranian-American journalist and regime critic Masih Alinejad on behalf of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Hired by mobsters Rafat Amirov and Polad Amirov and Omarov, who allegedly received their orders from IRGC Brigadier General Ruhollah Bazgandi. Mediev's bundled hit attempt included loitering outside of Alinejad's house for days, ordering food while staking her out. He's getting delivery to his stakeout car. And even failing to stop at a stop sign, which ended up leading to his arrest, where he had a ski mask and an AK-47 in the backseat. Okay. While grilled in court, defense attorney, so this is the defense attorney for the mobsters in charge of the hitman, asked the hitman mockingly, as you're coordinating an international kidnapping, you're also working at a pizza shop? To which Mediev flatly replied, that's correct. His texts to Alinejad shown in court, such as "you the best journalist" and "do you can help for that," only added to the absurdity of the failed plot. In March 2025, Mediev formally pleaded guilty to attempted murder and firearms charges and began cooperating with federal authorities. He faces a minimum of 15 years in prison. That same month, Amirov and Omarov were convicted on charges including murder for hire and racketeering. They are scheduled to be sentenced in September. So we don't know how long they'll be sentenced for, but they're found guilty. This case once again highlights how the Iranian regime uses criminal gangs to silence dissidents, even if it means relying on amateurish thugs with pizza shifts. Okay, so let me give a full breakdown here. Go ahead.
By the way, just before you do, for people, so the update with this case is that we just had a court hearing and the guy just gave us a lot of information. So this is the same failed attempt as assassinating Masih Alinejad that you heard before. The reason why we're talking about it now is just because we just recently had the court and there was a lot of information revealed. So
yeah. So this assassination attempt happened in July of 2022, which is very shortly before the, Woman Life Freedom uprising. And so the hearing in court finally happened. So we get all these new details exposed. And what started as this assassination attempt that we heard about back in 2022, this is kind of the conclusion now, right? Like they've been brought to justice. So there's so much interesting stuff that came out in this court case, and I'm going to try my best to give you the juiciest details. So let me start from the beginning. One, we know that this originated from the IRGC. This is not a speculation anymore like it was in the beginning. We know for a fact this originated from
they admitted
text
it.
exchanges. They were pulling all the data and the metadata from their clouds into WhatsApp and everything. And so they know that this came from orders from an IRGC brigadier general. And this IRGC brigadier general basically went to these two Russian mobsters, or these two Azerbaijanis who are part of the Russian mob. And he went to these two guys and he said, I'm going to pay you $500,000 for you to go kill this woman. So these two guys who are overseas, they go to, again, these are Azerbaijani nationals, but they're part of the Russian mob. And basically the Islamic Republic has been known to outsource their assassinations and stuff to the Russian mob before. They also outsource their hits to the Hells Angels in Canada, but that's a different story. So they are trying to outsource their assassination to the Russian mob. They talk to these two mobsters, okay? And they're going to pay them $500,000. So these two mobsters go find this guy who's living in the United States. He's from Azerbaijan, but he's an immigrant to the United States. He's a young guy, and he has a dream. This young man, young Khalid, he has a dream of being a Russian mob boss one day. I'm not even kidding. He's part of the Russian mob. He's an aspiring mobster. And they come to him and they're like, we want you to go kill this journalist, and we're going to pay you $30,000 to go kill this journalist. And he's like, okay, cool, do it. So
wait, well, how did we get from $500,000 to 30,000?
Because this is the Russian mob, baby. Okay, we're getting getting ripped off.
So wait, so the Iranian regime paid them $500,000, and they
promised
took that
them. I don't know if it was paid. They found like bank notes and stuff. I don't know if
but
it was
they
paid.
hired people. So they paid only 30,000, and they wanted to keep the rest, basically.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Wow. So they were,
but then they're incentivized to hire someone. They would only take 30,000, and they find this dumbass who's this guy working at a pizza shop in Brooklyn who has dreams of being a Russian mobster. And so he basically fucks up this whole thing. Yes. And what's funny is after he gets caught and arrested, and before the news starts coming out, they know that it's blown. They know that it's blown before it even gets published, right? And they're texting each other about how the fat one is gonna fuck up everything for them. So
wow.
Basically, this guy is an idiot, and he's like staking out outside of Masih Alinejad's house. She was already under FBI protection at the time, living at this house in Flatbush, and he is just being way too obvious about his attempts to surveil her, because the Russian mobsters above him, or Azerbaijani is part of the Russian mob. Anyways, they have all this intelligence on her, and they're passing intelligence on her to him. So about like kind of where she goes for groceries, her whereabouts, her timing, like all this stuff. So he's supposed to go stake her out, and he's like in this parked car kind of trying to profile her house, and he's ordering delivery food to his car where he's doing a stakeout.
This is
and
crazy.
Meanwhile, he's trying to text Masih and like trying to send her messages.
He's texting his own target.
Yeah, like trying to get close to her and being like, you're the best journalist, like, and in broken English, like basically like, can you help me? Like sending her messages and all this stuff. And you know, she just is probably ignoring it. Yeah, Sarah is saying me as a hitman. And he's like, I was trying to get close to her.
Oh my god.
Basically, what he ends up doing one day is he literally goes up one day and is like going on her property, and she sees him one day, and he's like knocking on the doorbell. There's one day where he's like interacting with the Ring camera. He's knocking on the door, like just straight up going to the house and looking in the windows, like doo doo doo. And then one day Masih is at her house, and she's like taking care of her plants in her garden or something, and she sees this guy standing in the sunflowers, and she talks about looking at him in the eye as he's kind of like taking photos of the house and the flowers, and she's like looks him in the eye and is like, something's not right. And she goes and reports into the FBI. At first she wasn't going to say anything because apparently it was normal for the neighbors to love the flowers and to be taking photos of the flowers. So she was kind of like, oh, okay. But then she just had this instinct that something wasn't right. So she reports him to the FBI. The FBI starts trailing him, and it just so happens that he runs a red light, so they have an excuse to pull him over. When they pull him over, they find that he has ammunition, an AK, a ski mask, all this shit in his car, and they arrest him, and all this stuff starts to get exposed. So in court,
and they ask him, why do you have a gun? And he said, I didn't know there's a gun in my car. Just before. Yeah.
Oh my God, how did that get there? It's like, oh fuck, that scared the shit out of me. That was there this whole time. So basically in court, he's doing some deal with the feds, right? And I don't know the full details of that deal with the feds. Meanwhile, the two people that were his superiors giving him these orders, they've been extradited to the United States. So the Justice Department is saying, we don't care where you are in the world. We're going to take you to America and we're going to prosecute you. And so they prosecuted these two mob bosses. They found them guilty, partly because of the testimony of the bumbling hitman against them. And now they're going to be sentenced in September. So we don't know how much what they're going to be sentenced to yet. We just know that it's coming and they've been found guilty. So, justice served. What I find interesting is that the hitman's family were living back in Azerbaijan. And when he fucked up this hit attempt, his family back in Baku had to go into hiding and go flee into the countryside because they were worried about the mob coming after them. So
yeah, because the mob told them, if you fail, we will kill you. If you fail to kill her, we will kill you. That's what the mob told these people.
So they flee into hiding. The family of this idiot hitman end up getting a special kind of visa to come into the United States so that they are on witness protection. And they're now on witness protection because this dumbass's mom ruined his mom's freaking life. The mom had to be brought into court to testify against the two bosses because she started to receive calls from these two bosses about her son's idiot bullshit. So now his family is now living in witness protection in the US because of his stupid freaking dreams of being a Russian mob boss one day, and was just like, oh yeah, I'll go put a hit on this random woman, like whatever. And he was so lacking in professionalism, one could say. Yeah.
Oh my God, he's a fucking idiot. And it's weird to me that he was so careless, given that the mob actually told him that if you fail at killing her, we will kill you. You would think that he would take this job more seriously.
Well, maybe he did, but I mean, maybe there was no on-the-job training.
Why would the mob?
I don't know. I'm going to make a dark joke. Yeah. Sometimes as a manager, the failure of your employees is on you. You know what I'm saying?
Darko say, at least he has goals in life, I guess. He has dreams. Yeah. This needs to be a movie. This is so stupid.
It's so stupid. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to cover this because some of the details that came out in court were even more insane than I previously knew from indictments that were published. And also it's kind of like a conclusion of this like very, very important story that happened a few years ago, where like the significance of the Islamic Republic trying to assassinate an American citizen on American soil cannot be understated.
Wait, let's read these comments.
Oh my gosh, this person, she's fake opposition, and it shows that the Islamic Republic will go make fake terrorism plot to steal a taxpayer's money. So yeah, it's this whole conspiracy against Masih.
This is okay. So here's the thing: there are some criticisms against Masih recently that is justified, and she has lost her popularity among many Iranian people. Okay, but this reaction to her is so fucking stupid, like, and it's exaggeration. And so there's some part of the opposition when some people have some legitimate criticism of her, but then some people overdo it and come up with their own fucking crazy conspiracy theories, which is this basically. But it is true that Masih Alinejad has lost her popularity among many Iranian people, especially because she took some position, because she supported some separatists, and she was never transparent about that, and also because she turned against Reza Pahlavi, which a lot of Iranian people love. So she has lost her popularity because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but regardless of people's criticism of her, I find it insanely like disrespectful to downplay what she has gone through and also what she's sacrificed. Like, I feel like that's just completely unfair.
Yeah, just criticize her positions. You don't need to dismiss her sacrifice, and you don't need to come up with your sub bullshit conspiracy theory. If you have criticism for her, just tell your criticism. Just say.
Yeah. So meanwhile, there are other people saying bullshit, Israel's resolved. They're involved.
Oh my God.
And this is an Israeli Jewish plot to puppeteer a war with Iran.
Oh, fucking hell. Conspiracy theories from both sides. And this one.
And then this is a more supportive comment, basically
supportive,
being like, yeah.
But,
the opinions are all over the
more
place.
of an. Yeah. She used to be a bigger nightmare when they did this assassination attempt. But unfortunately, she's not as much anymore. We did get 2 super chats. Do you want to address those?
Oh, fantastic. Flying Robot Duck gave a super chat saying this guy is the Wile E. Coyote of Hitman. Basically. And Asian-American is asking a different question, saying, would the Eucharist from the Communist Party of China's bishops be valid? I mean, as long as it's following the tenets of canon law.
I mean, the Vatican Church has submitted to PRC and they bend the knee to their message. So I guess according to the Vatican, it is, right? Do we have? I think we have 2 more minutes for me to be able to advertise something. Can I do that?
Oh, sure.
First of all, guys, please like the stream. Leave a comment, and also, if you are financially in a stable position, please consider becoming a member. Our memberships are basically the reason why we can still do this. So please consider supporting the show by being a member. And I also want to advertise, remove this, put this up. If you are either Iranian or care about Iranian stuff, there's going to be a pro-Reza Pahlavi gathering in front of the White House on April 13th between 2 to 4 p.m. And a lot of Iranians are going to be there. They're going to have the actual real flag of Iran there with them. And they are going to come and show their pro-Americanism, and also to show to American politicians that Reza Pahlavi is the Iranian people's choice as their representative. These other leftist, separatist opposition groups are not representative of Iranian people, and and also not the MEK. So all these American politicians who are getting close to the MEK or they're getting close to leftists, Marxists, and separatists, that those are not the groups that the Iranian people that want the American politicians to get close to. That they are in front of the White House to tell you the person that the Iranian people want Americans to talk to as a representative. So if you're close to Washington D.C. On April 13th, consider going there between 2 to 4 p.m.
Wait, can I actually share a little anecdote? I think it's funny. I forgot to mention this when talking about my trip in London. I was out kind of in the Soho area one day, and I legitimately just stumbled across this pro-Israel demonstration. And I walk over, I was like, oh, I got to go check this out. What's going on over here? And it was so funny because as I approached this demonstration, I see that the pro-Israel demonstration is heavily Iranian. super heavily Iranian.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yes,
oh,
yes.
whoa, like a lot of lion and sun flags, and just like demographically who was inside the little cordon off area. And I go up to them. I'm like, oh, hi, I'm a tourist. I'm curious about what you guys are doing. Like, can I come in and can I come in and check things out? They're like, oh, are you supportive? I'm like, yeah. They're like, okay, sure, you can come in. So I pop in and I'm like putzing around and just like checking it out. And they have all these signs that are saying free London from terror supporters.
Okay. Yeah. But by the way, we have to go. We have only a
Yeah.
few seconds. But guys, don't forget to like the stream. And this is again April 13, 2 to 4. Yeah, and also any pro-Israeli gatherings in the West, there's definitely going to be a heavy Iranian presence. That's to be expected. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Yes, it's on brand, guys. All right, guys. See you later. Bye. Mwah.